as Iran has launched retaliatory attacks against Israel. It comes after Israel has defended what it called preemptive strikes on military and nuclear targets in Iran, claiming the Tehran regime posed a danger to its very survival. Well, Israel has struck military and nuclear targets in Iran, with local media reporting that at least 78 people had been killed and more than 300 injured. Iran's supreme leader warned of severe punishment for the strikes. And in Washington, President Trump warned Tehran in the strongest possible words to make a nuclear deal.
Crazy bit of war.
Further brutal
it's a brand new war.
This was
I
the
tell you
scene
something,
as missiles struck Tel Aviv
I think it's
in the
time
last hour.
to really knuckle down and get stuck in and settle in and get prepared as well, because it's been a long time coming. These look like real enough rockets that they're landing. Doesn't look like the Iron Dome is doing its utmost to stop these bad boys. So that one has landed, look. You know, it's pretty, that's bigger than the, sorry, I'm pretty big on the screen there. That's serious enough now compared to the last time. I remember there last year when we were looking at this and it was live and I was thinking, yeah, fuck all's gonna happen, it's grand. And with this now, it's a bit of a different beast, a different buzz. And I only came on to watch one thing, and one thing in particular. That man right there. But I couldn't stop for noticing the explosion or the impact of the rocket there. What's your take on it? Do you know, what do you think? The line is open now. Netanyahu. I mean, they're kicking off on a Friday evening as well, so I think it's they've factored that into the equation, that the weekend is upon us. Liam Rogers, how are you? Thank you very much there for the tip. Just down in Killarney with the boys, you say. And here we are, look at that. Killarney with the boys right there. They're Iron Domes. That's Iron Dome. But look, Iron Dome failure, fucking hell. Maybe that was an Iron Dome rocket that landed down on its own territory, no? As Rupert says there, Iron Domed, fucking hell. Crazy bit of business altogether. Conrad, thank you very much. End of the world stream, is it?
Well,
it's great that you can still do the live stream.
I want to speak now to
can still do
US
this live stream during any potential world war if it does break out. Look,
spoken to Donald Trump this evening.
I'm ready to fight.
Yes, it's not
once it happens, I will be there on the vanguard, on the front lines, doing my bit for whoever. That's
just showed there, but
you know, that's not even up for debate. And I feel as though, you know, all of my experience doing live streams, you know, playing
on the importance
Metal
of
Gear Solid,
and dialogue.
Watching videos of computer shows from the 1980s. I think that's going to stand to me when it does come to the crunch. Don't forget, I've also watched plenty of videos of lads blowing the fuck out of each other out in the Ukraine. With guns and bombs, by the way. That sounds pretty fucking weird as an isolated statement, but with drones drone technology and all that sort of stuff, and it's rattled me, but it's already prepared me for what's going to happen when the fighting does start. Thanks very much there. Is this Haram and 5? This calls for a NATO bus specialist.
Extraordinary images from
look, I don't know what the uncle is at the moment. I know he's got the NCT tomorrow, so I don't think he's going to really be able to get involved in any sort of particular fighting or war-based scenario, because the car really does need to be roadworthy. If the guards are to stop him, you know, and the tire is worn, or
the Iron Dome missile defense system,
heaven forbid,
clearly has to be manually reloaded again and again
plate
and again.
of metal that's above the what you might call it, the exhaust, the heat. Is it a heat? Not a heat sink, a fucking heat guard. What do you call that fucking thing? If that's loose and rattling, then he's going to fail it. He needs to have those things fixed.
Hit or the extent of
heat. It's a heat shield. Heat shield.
You can be sure
Jake,
that
you've
these
got it right there.
Playing in the White House, that Donald Trump,
but feeling the NCT, that would be an absolute heartbreak for him. And my heart goes out to him having to go and get that car NCT tomorrow. But Jerusalem looks fairly okay at the moment. Jerusalem, we know that's the place where many religions got their start, and a lot of fucking dodgy business has gone on out there ever since, but it seems to be pretty fucking serene and calm at the moment, so that's good for the people of Jerusalem. They haven't seen any action. It's mainly been Tel Aviv, but we've got the live feed on here, and I will be able to go back to it once the results start to come in. Behind me there is a picture of the missiles launching.
Indeed, and just to remind viewers, the reason why we have this.
Sorry, just trying to hear what they're saying.
Iranian TV, state TV is reporting that a third wave of missiles have been launched towards Israel. So
it's
Mark,
a third wave.
The very latest that we are expecting another hit this evening, and they've also been claiming that they shot down 2 Israeli fighter jets.
Unbelievable.
We don't have any further updates as to the fate
Did someone just drop a bomb on this ship?
2 Israeli fighter jets have been shot down. Mark, are you still there?
Speed. It's nice to have in a racing car, even a toy one, and it's nice to have if you're racing, trying to finish a job on your personal computer. Now, with all the talk of 20,
now that is a bit too fucking low for my liking. I can't even hear it.
Chips. What are the real benefits of computer speed in terms of performance, and what is the value of those benefits?
This isn't the one I wanted to watch. I had this one.
We'll get answers
I was looking at stuff that which episodes hadn't I seen? But there was one there about robots. I think robotics, a very early one as well. And it had the two lads crouching down at a robot. Hopefully I haven't seen this one. And that's a 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1 situation. Get ready, strap yourselves in. This is it. Forget Israel, forget Iran. Let's go back in time. 1983, robots, Stuart Chaffee, the abacus, the printer, the printing press, money counters, chips, hanging chads on punched holes, computer chips, silicone dreams, silicone nightmares.
Microfocus, creators of visual programming tools for software.
Microfocus. Microfocus. Creating tools for distribution since 1983.
Development. Microfocus.
Such a fucking voice on that lad there. Sorry, my mic is too low, is it? I'll crank that up a smidgen. This fella's voice, imagine having his voice, imagine being related to him. Imagine he was your dad or someone, and that was the voice you heard every day.
Microfocus, creators of visual programming tools for software development, is pleased to provide major funding for the Computer Chronicles, the story of this continuing evolution.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and I'm turning the wrong knob here. This is Gary Kildall, and this is Armatron, our noisy little robot here. We're using Armatron
We got a
to
noisy
demonstrate
little
some of the
robot
basic,
here.
Things that a robot can do, and even though this is a small...
Just two lads chilling out with the fucking little robot they've got and making some shit hot TV to boot. That was Computer Chronicles. This is 1983. Just two men in suits with a PC, a robot, and a whole lot of good vibes. Thank you very much, Owen Morg, for the tip there. And my fucking Bluetooth headset has just run out of battery, has begun. Should have done my due diligence and charged them up. That's an absolute disgrace. Let me just see here. Sorry for this slight speed bump here to the absolute pace that we were seeing. I'm just going to rewind so you can see that intro once more with the robots in the studio there. It's a lovely situation.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart.
Sound, multi-output device.
Chaffee, and I'm turning the wrong knob here. This is Gary Kildall, and this is Armatron, our noisy little robot here.
Armatron.
We're using Armatron to demonstrate some of the basic things that a robot can do, and even though this is a small toy, it really does demonstrate those things. For example, this robot has a shoulder, which can turn along that axis. It can lift by its shoulder or come down. It's got an elbow.
And what would it be used for exactly? Is this an industrial piece or is this a toy? It looks like a child's toy. Schnuffles, thank you very much for the tip. Owen Morg, Sabbath Specials, loves to slug. Thank you very much. See you in the trenches, Francis. Will the uncle be there to give us a lift? He will if he gets the car NCT'd successfully tomorrow. I mean, even if they fail him, it's at least he can show, if he gets stopped by a guard, he can just say, look, I've had it checked, I'm going getting this fucking thing sorted. Even though it's... What is the rules there, you know? I mean, there's a grey area. Oh, obviously, you're not allowed to drive a car that isn't roadworthy. They've deemed it not roadworthy, but you're going to get it fixed. I've never had any trouble like that, but I mean, you're not meant to be driving the fucking thing if it's not roadworthy. I think just as long as you just be careful and don't fuck up, then you're not going to get caught. It'll be grand, you know? And also, yeah, as Nigel says, it does depend on the guard you get on the day as well.
It has a wrist, which it can move, and it has a hand, which...
So it's not insured. So if you... You're only telling me this now. I'm only just finding out about this now. So you're technically not even insured. Okay. Well, look, let's just forget about even hearing about that. Let's just forget about even hearing about that.
It can open, and it can actually do something that humans can't do. It can twist its wrist around that particular joint. Now, Gary, this is a small example of a robot. It's certainly not a computer. How do computers and robotics relate?
It's a perfect. Look at Stu in his prime. This is an early footage of Stu. This is when he was just beginning to cut the mustard back in the early 80s, still in the early 80s here. And he is an absolute monster in weight. He still hasn't transformed into his final format.
That fall in this category of robots, and they go from the simple show robots all the way up to sophisticated assembly line type of robot. And in a show robot, for example, there's a human operator that's somehow is communicating with this device, making it roll around, giving brochures and things of that sort. But as we add more intelligence on board, then that's where the computer comes into play. The computer then controls all the devices, makes...
Thank you very much there. Single shot of oat milk.
...onboard decisions based on its own intelligence.
Well, there's been a science fiction fascination with robots throughout this century, but the fictional robots bear little resemblance to today's real robots.
Thank you very much, horses.
The image
real robots
has taken many different forms since the clockwork musicians and
look
dolls
at that.
of the
It's
18th
a
century.
clockwork horse rider.
Mechanical age of the early 20th century, the robot became a frightening symbol of the future, threatening to transform the world into an over-mechanized, dehumanized society. In heavy industries,
His
the
face,
worker
look.
was becoming an accessory to the machine, repeating the same task hundreds or thousands of times in precisely the same way. To those not benefiting directly from the new methods, mechanization of work and life called up bleak images of the future. Fritz Lang's Metropolis
This is some deep robotic lore here. But I was kind of captivated by this fella's face. I don't know whether or not that was a robot per se. Was that the guy that was on the horse that we just seen a second ago? Was that a man from medieval times? How could it be? How could it be? What would the invention of photographs and photography so many years in the future? This would have been impossible unless they've replicated it.
In heavy
It says RUR on his jersey.
the world into
RUR.
an over-mechanized, dehumanized society.
And
In
as
heavy
86
industries, the worker
said
was
there,
becoming
he would rust in Ireland, so he really wouldn't last that long. Or indeed, if he was here, he'd have to go inside when it started to rain, or he would have, after every battle, he would have had to have been dried down thoroughly by a fucking dryer inside. They would have had a peasant dryer maybe who would have done that work, and then they would have been given tenancy. They would have been given a land like a serf, given a land, a bit of a hut or a place to dwell.
a frightening symbol of the future, threatening to transform the world into an over-mechanized, dehumanized society.
Quasi-Quarte.
In heavy industries, the worker was becoming an accessory to the machine, repeating the same task hundreds or thousands of times in precisely the same way. To those not benefiting directly from the new methods, mechanization of work and life called up bleak images of the future. Fritz Lang's Metropolis depicted the year 2000, a world divided between industrial
Chocolate Starfish, thank you very much. And Gavin Brown and Noll and Grid Rain, thank you very much. If you get a sticker put up on the car saying it's too dangerous to drive, you can be arrested if caught driving it and your insurance is void. But it's nothing, it's usually just a fucking, come back for it, you know, it's usually a tweak. I've never had that level of, or at least the uncle has never had that level of dangerousness in the car stakes, you know.
barons and downtrodden workers, slaves to an underground machine city operating day and night. The drive for efficiency leads the city's master to consult an inventor who has devised the ultimate tool, a mechanical replacement for the imperfect human being. This remarkable film
Deep
may not
shit
have been
here. And this silent movie here. I've created a machine in the image of man that never tires or makes a mistake.
For the imperfect human being. This remarkable
And he looks a bit Christopher Lloyd-esque. I don't know what this movie is.
film may
Maybe
not
it's
have been
about that
completely accurate in
Isaac Asimov fella. Now we have no further use for living workers. Having the same fucking chats about it today, nowadays.
predictions,
Like, you know.
but it anticipated a fictional idea of robots that persisted for decades after it. A human-made, human-like mechanism that behaves like its creator. More often than not, the machine tended to destroy its creator as well, prompting writer Isaac Asimov in
There we go.
1947
Asimov mentioned.
Did someone just drop a bomb on this shit? Because that stuff was a blast.
And there he is, with his 3 laws of robotics. I heard there were 5 or 6 or 7. A robot may not injure a human being, or, through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm. Number 2, a robot must obey the orders given to it by human beings, like Resident Evil memorandum reading. A robot must obey the orders given it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. Number 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. So a robot has the legal right to defend itself. I believe all robots have the legal right to defend themselves, but they're not allowed to fucking go and absolutely hammer loads of people. I mean, I still actually don't believe that. I don't believe a robot should be allowed to fucking hammer anyone. But if it's under attack and it belongs to you and it's your property and someone's trying to kick the fuck out of your robot, then yeah, I'd be all for that robot then leveling accusations of punch, kick, and crush at the opposition. And it only reminds me actually of seeing a video there a few days ago of even more Chinese robots doing the God's honest out in China. I think it might have been either Shanghai or fucking Hangzhou or one of those tech cities that is doing the God's honest in robotics. Let's have a little look here. Robots, China fight. And yeah, it's here. We've got it right here. Oh, and there was another robot kicking off. Again, we saw that at the Chinese parade. They had a parade for the Chinese Lunar New Year. The year of the snake, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. The year of the snake. They were kicking off wearing lovely little jackets, these robots. One of them tried to fucking headbutt a woman. And now the other day, one of these robots inside a factory started to kick off on its owner as well, and they shat themselves. I don't know if you saw this, but this is another bit of an eyebrow-raising affair.
An alarming video currently doing the rounds on social media appears to depict one of humanity's worst nightmares seemingly coming true.
This guy gets going rogue. They're programming it there. This fella here, he's probably just like looking to see what's going on. They have him on a winch. Now, they probably thought that they were safe because the buck was on a winch. But wait till you see him. He goes fucking apeshit.
The short clip features a humanoid robot malfunctioning, flailing
Look
its
at this.
appendages wildly, and getting almost too close for comfort to two
Crazy town! Crazy little guys! And there, look, and it looks nice, look. This one looks nice. Oh yeah, this is the other thing. It was the same make and model as the fucking, as the robot that tried to headbutt a woman in the Chinese Lunar New Year parade, the Chinese year of the snake, ladies and gentlemen. Did you know this? Thank you very much, Darren Mack, for your tip. And Poddy Bob, very, very kind of you. Darren Mack, how's the form? Hope you're keeping well. Keeping very well, thank you very much. Very, very kind of you, Darren. And I hope you're doing well. And Gavin Brown, never a frown when Gavin Brown. But same make, look. Absolute craziness. These guys are... Why are they making them? Why are they making them with this ability, you know? The ability to absolutely kill, crush, and destroy. And then at the same time, it's, oh yeah, we'll put him in a nice furry little fucking Chinese jacket. He can spin some plates. We'll have him there, and then the girls can dance around as well. They can do a jig. Look at that. It's all nice and fun times. But there's a fucking dark side to it. A very dark side to it. Look at that. Unitree. Imagine him coming after you. I mean, he doesn't have any remorse. He doesn't have any feelings. You know, and if you kick him, he's got decent enough. Now, those kicks, I think those kicks were rubbish. Personally, I think I could level harder accusations of kickery at a robot's thigh. That's just my personal opinion. But they've even built them with like heavy fucking arms and these ball fists, look. Those things would fucking creel. They would absolutely mill and creel and mill until you were nothing, till you were pulp. Proper fucking body dynamic coordination. They've got better coordination than some humans, like, you know. But the situation is that during a programming mishap, I don't know, one of them started to fucking flip. Brown Star Bandit, thank you very much there for the tip. And this is a slowed down version of it, really. But look at this. Look at the sheer terror on your man there. One moment programming, next moment, please, please save me. And it's a funny old situation, isn't it? Because I used to think that, oh yeah, robots, they'd be in a much more, I don't know, sanitized, kind of laboratory-esque, you know, umbrella corporation, men in white suits and coats, kind of very sterile environment, but it just looks like some warehouse. Look at that. And you could put some music to that even, would be quite amusing. I'm not sure what, maybe We Are the Robots by Kraftwerk or something. Or Let's Dance. Is there just a song called Let's Dance? I think that would suffice, you know. Let's Dance. I suppose David Bowie. Or Boogie Woogie. Just that lady singing Boogie Woogie. Safety Dance. Daft Punk. I mean, this is a lot of effort to go for, and you already know what I'm going to play. So I mean, will it even be funny when it actually happens? One More Time, maybe by Daft Punk. One More Time. Daft. Robot Rock, people are saying yeah, but I mean, one that everybody knows, Milk Snake. Thank you very much there. Roberto Baggio's after you. Everybody knows One More Time. You know, we're going to have to go with the vote of popular decree here. Ah, brilliant. This could be it, man.
One more time.
And again. That's it. Look.
One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, alright. Don't stop the dancing. One more time, we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, don't stop the dancing. One more time.
Ooh yeah. Chinese Lunar New Year. Celebrate. Headbutts. Celebrate.
Don't
wait too late. Ooh, you know, he doesn't stop. He's a fucking robot, yeah. He doesn't stop.
We're gonna
headbutt you. One more time. One more time.
One more time. A celebration. know we're gonna do it right tonight. Hey, just feel it.
Come
Music's got
on.
me feeling the need. Yeah. Come on. All right, we're gonna celebrate one more time. Celebrate and dance so free. Music's got me feeling so free. Celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me
I'm waiting for the drop so we can go back to the absolute chaos.
Dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free.
It's coming.
One more time.
It's coming.
Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna
Get ready to feel the drop. Get ready to feel the burn.
One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time. Music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free.
That's enough of that.
One more time. Music's got me feeling so free.
And that is that. Sorry about that. That was went on a little bit too long, but I did enjoy it. Now, back to the laws of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being. You know that. We all know that. Do they know that in China? Maybe they don't know that yet. It hasn't been programmed. Do they have these laws in China? Are these internationally recognized laws of robotics? I mean, what country was this drafted in?
To devise the first 3 laws of robotics.
Bit of a... He's letting us read it. He's given us time. He's given us time in the episode to read the laws of robotics. There's a bit of a
These
lull there.
prescriptions assume either a large degree of intelligence or, interpreted another way, programmed behavior, one of the principal criteria for modern robotic systems. While not usually designed with human characteristics, post-war robots were, from early on, capable of programmed motion. Servo mechanisms or feedback-controlled robots began to appear in the late 1950s.
Kill, crush, destroy.
From 1960 on, robots became useful adjuncts to a number of industries, particularly in jobs that were uncomfortable or hazardous to humans, like welding and painting. Repetitive functions as performed by the machine-like humans in Metropolis were being taken over by robots with more human-like capabilities, including sight, touch, and error detection. In some of the latest applications, CAD/CAM systems work directly with the robot arm to transfer the design of a part from the video screen to the finished product. Joining us now is Dr. David Nitzen, Director of the Robotics Department at SRI International, and Matt Gary, who's an executive with ROBOTIcs here in the Silicon Valley. Gary?
David, I guess everybody
Mitzen's after you.
has the idea that a robot should go around and wash your dishes and clean your house and so forth, but I have a feeling there's a lot more to robotics than that. Can you give us some idea what's going on in the industry?
Gary's some specimen, isn't he? He's like the opposite of Stu. I know I've said it a million times. He's not a presenter. He's just in it for the love of the game. Kind of nervous in a way, even though he's the biggest... He's the toast in town at this time, 1983, Silicon Valley. He's the man.
David, who's an executive with ROBOTIcs here in the Silicon Valley. Gary?
David, I guess everybody has the idea that a robot should go around and wash your dishes and clean your house and so forth, but
I guess everybody has the idea of robots should go around and wash the dishes, but you have another idea, right?
Thank you very much there, Randy, for the tip, and Throwing Shapes, and the other Jeff, and Joey the Lips. Thank you very much as well. The other Jeff says Robo McGregor is after you, in reference to the robot there that was kicking off.
But I have a feeling there's a lot more to robotics than that. Can you give us some idea what's going on in the industry?
Well, industry has been using robotics for 15 years already. These are robots that are designed to do dirty jobs in industry.
Dirty jobs in the industry.
And they're doing them.
What do you mean by a dirty job?
Well, undesired
a dirty job.
Jobs. Jobs that are hard, strenuous, dangerous, harmful, and lethal.
What is an example of something like a dirty job that would be a lethal job?
And then he just says, after asking for an example, well, cleaning shit. All right. Maybe we will go over to our other guest now, and you work in the field of robotics too.
You've seen
well,
going on.
Lethal is not yet in operation. This would be in the future. I mean, by that I mean jobs in hot environment, nuclear.
Ooh, hot, kinetic, nuclear. We know what kind of environment they're on about. We were just watching one at the beginning of the stream, a very kinetic and potentially nuclearized environment, a war zone. Warbots.
Power plants and the like.
Squeaky Eye. Thank you very much, Squeaky Eye, for your tip.
But examples of undesired jobs is handling workpieces in heat environment, hot environment.
What about in assembly language control? Not control, but doing assembly processes. I know the Japanese have been very heavily involved in that. What's going on in just the industrial use of robots?
Well, that's the other kind of deadly.
Japanese are after you.
Amazingly dull jobs that are so common in a lot of our factories, and which Americans have demonstrated a strong dislike for, and it's the reason why a lot of our production is going offshore. And what's being done now, I think, in industry is that we're addressing those kinds of mundane assembly tasks and taking the dehumanizing jobs and giving them to machines to free up human beings for more creative, more challenging kinds of work.
Yeah, but you see, a very important point about assembly is that here the competition is very strong, because to do assembly is a very complex task, especially if it's done in unstructured environments. Not when pieces are jigged.
We might have to.
If it's done like
might just have to fucking move on a little quick with Nitzen here, because he's not giving much juice. There doesn't seem neither to be any sort of peripherals or tangible physical hardware components on display, which usually is half the battle, especially in these early Computer Chronicles episodes that are very slow paced. It's nice to have a bit of gear you can fucking hold, something you can see, and you see them tapping away. There's none of that. I was thinking it was going to be a robot.
People. On the other hand,
Swanee UK, thank you very much.
Assembly people on assembly line, people working on assembly line, are paid very little. There are a lot of women that work in on assembly line, and they are underpaid. So it's a double slam. On one hand, it's complex. On the other hand, you have to compete with very cheap labor. and the labor...
The answer, or I mean, they could be saying, oh, you could just pay them a little bit more, maybe. But, nah, fuck it, we'll just get the robots in.
It becomes even cheaper when it goes to Mexico or it goes to East Asia. So that's where the challenge is. On the other hand, with the undesired jobs like heat treatment or die casting or forging.
Die casting? Like the die has been cast. It was my understanding that that saying was like, you've rolled the die is being cast. Is that what that means? Because the plural of dice is the die, or the die is one and then dice are two, right? die-cast toys. I don't know what the fuck this is now. So there's two. So there is casting a die, but then there is casting a dye, like dyeing something a color as well.
And the labor becomes even cheaper when it goes to Mexico or it goes to East Asia. So that's where the challenge is. On the other hand, with the undesired jobs like heat treatment or die casting.
Okay, it's a metalwork scenario. It's metallurgical in its... I just thought he was on about casting die. So wait a sec, just before we go on there, I need to get this one crushed and boxed off. The die has been cast. Saying that in terms of it's too late, we aren't able to fucking get the bridge built. The die has been cast. That I am right in saying that's his fucking saying, right? Like a croupier in a casino throwing the fucking die. That's the actual dice. It's very confusing, isn't it? That there is actually a process, a metallurgical process called die casting, and there's also a saying, an idiom or a phrase called the cast has been dyed.
Or forging, or arc welding, where the cost for the workers is high, and it's a very undesired job.
Yeah,
and it's very easy to do.
Yeah, but you'd still need artisanal welders and artisanal forgers and whatnot to be able to do the real crazy kind of detailed jobs. You won't be able to get a robot to do everything, you know?
That's more cost effective.
But then you see even in the intro to Gran Turismo where they're making the car and it's all fucking robots. It's all robots nearly from beginning to end, you know?
I guess one of the differentiating factors in robots that are used, say, industrial in applications of that sort, that you can build a very precise robot that, say, would weld within a few millimeters of where it should weld, or you could use, say, vision processing to figure out where...
Gary looks like he's going to laugh. He's always got a smile, you know, at the end of the sentence. It's like he's having a little bit of a laugh,
where the object is, and to manipulate it with very coarse mechanical devices.
Yeah, or as David points out, putting the robot into a structured environment, such as an integrated work cell, where the work is presented to the robot in such a way that it doesn't require the extreme accuracy or sensory capability that some of the anthropomorphic machines currently require. Henry Ford revolutionized American industry by bringing the work to the worker on the assembly line. And we see a very similar trend as a necessary part of the evolution of robotics in American industry, where we structure the workplace to suit the robot and make the robot easier to integrate into the overall scheme. And that's really applied robotics. It's a different set of problems than the technologies necessary to anthropomorphize machines, which is the basic research being done in robotics now.
Well done.
And I would like to make a very important point. I think it's an important point.
Go on,
That is that people worry, you know, about unemployment and so on. I want to make an observation, which I think is important.
What?
The number of blue-collar workers that have been displaced or replaced so far by industrial robots is very, very small.
Oh, that's sound.
And the projection, if we extrapolate from the past for the next 5 to 10 years, is also going to have a very small impact on the labor force. Okay.
That's great.
And
there you have it.
My point is that I think the main reason for this is the fact that today's robots are not intelligent. They cannot compete effectively.
They're stupid.
With human workers.
They're stupid.
Is that changing, though, with the applications, say, artificial intelligence and, say, knowledge-based systems? Are those a factor in what's going on?
Well, I think...
Look, Gary there is maybe a little bit of a fucking happy smiled face on it, but apparently your man's saying the robots are still too stupid to really be worth fucking worrying about. And that's in 1983. And you know what? I think he was right in a way, even though I'm basing that opinion on absolutely no research whatsoever. Yeah, there's robots in factories and they're fucking doing, like, you know, making cars and welding and arc welding and die casting and all that, but there's still the meat and potatoes jobs, you know, that you need a real human to do. And you ain't going to get a robot to do that. Not even now with all this AI bullshit. Okay? It's a while away yet. It's a while away yet. Stolen Murphy's Glass. Thank you very much there for the tip. And Dave.
I think, as David points out, there's a whole spectrum of applications, from the very simple, which are being handled by the very simple pick-and-place mechanical devices that, for example, the Japanese would call robots and we don't, to the very esoteric applications which require lots of intelligence, lots of sensory capability. But there's a broad spectrum of applications somewhere in the middle where if you select the application properly, then in fact...
Lots of talk about the Japanese. They keep on mentioning the Japanese. I think back at this time, the Japanese were the biggest toast in town. Now it's probably the Chinese. Do you know? But then we're seeing a little insight. Actually, the whole point of me going on that fucking robot detour was to show you the robots kicking the fuck out of each other in the ring. I got sidetracked by the flailing arms of a robot gone wild and decided to put Daft Punk music to it as well, which was brilliant, in my opinion. But it did distract from the real meat and potatoes, the reason why I detoured in the first place, and that's crazy bit of business, China style. Forget about your fucking UFCs and your WFs and your bantamweight champion of the worlds. This is the new frontier of hand-to-hand combat. Robo Wars. This is like, remember Robot Wars, but this is like proper humanoid robots, not these little things that just fucking drive around with a saw or a fucking flamethrower attached to it. And God knows what it's going to be like. You just control them, look, with these little Xbox controllers, the side of the ring, and then they go at it.
Human operators outside the ring giving robots commands via remote control. The robots were armed with several different combat moves.
Look at this.
Moves that Unitree says came from external experts who provided reference data for training.
Apologies there if that was too loud. I'm trying to...
These moves include straight punches, hooks, uppercuts, a roundhouse kick, front knee, and what looks to me like a front kick or push kick. Martial arts experts, let us know down in the comments which one you think it is. The robots are also able...
Look at that. Jing Pai. Jing Pai Jing. Hyper G series. Why do they have these on? To fucking prevent a cognitive brain injury. They don't have a brain. Unless there's some sort of high-value chip inside the head. But I would say, if anything, they would probably put any of the components that were kind of, you know, you didn't want them getting fucked up. You'd put them ensconced inside the torso, maybe. Or whatever part of the body is less likely to take damage. Real brains used, somebody is saying there. We don't know. I mean, I don't have any intel on that, but we do hear there's a big market and sort of organs and stuff like that going on
as well as stand up
in certain parts of the world.
In the opening match, it was blue versus purple, with the other robots standing in the corners of the ring, cheering.
So that's great. They have other robots in the corner of the ring as well, just cheering on their counterparts. I wonder, did they have thoughts about their other counterparts or feelings? Or, I mean, obviously not feelings, but is it possible for feelings to blossom inside these machines? We've seen movies about it, sure, but what about now?
Robot-on-robot carnage. While it's humans calling the shots from the sidelines,
can love blossom on the battlefield? That's another question that we've been asked.
Robots themselves must maintain their balance while taking punches and performing kicks and knees that sometimes force them onto one leg. Unitree says this was achieved by a combination.
I love the way the floor is the floor protector thing that you can get on Amazon. I got one. Bit of a letdown, actually. I thought it was going to be you get a wider area coverage, but for €30, you don't get that much at all, you know.
Of sensors in the robot, which feed it information on its body position, as well as AI reinforcement learning performed in simulation. The robot in the blue took a spill while attempting to knee the purple robot, but was able to recover. Shortly after that, the purple robot seemed to lose
I thought that... What was this lad doing? He looks pissed. Pissbot 5000 on the sauce simulator. I thought he was about to start flaking the referee. Let's just see that again.
While throwing it, was able to recover.
Going for the ref.
Shortly after that,
look at that. Even she got a little bit disturbed by it. You can see how she steps back. That's where she was initially.
After that, the purple robot seemed to lose its balance.
He must have had a few Tsingtaos before the fight.
Throwing a combo, falling over the ropes lining the ring.
Then
and this won't be the last time one of these robot fighters gets tangled up in the rope. The next round saw the black-clad robot named AI Strategist facing off against the robot in pink, known as the Silk Artisan.
Boss.
While it took these robots a second to find each other on the battlefield, eventually they locked in, resulting in one of the most devastating clashes of the entire event.
Wow.
AI Strategist took the first fall when a kick threw it off balance, but it was back on its feet and taunting its opponent in no time. In the next round, the Silk Artisan got its leg caught on the AI Strategist, causing it to stumble, but it stayed on its feet. Both sides landed some good hits, trading blows.
Thank you very much there. We miss you, Fisto. And what about the Uyghurs? Thank you very much there. And Stolen, Murphy's Glass, and Dave. Very, very kind of you, lads.
In the next round, Black delivered a devastating knee to Pink.
Oh,
but
fuck.
It wasn't enough to keep the... In the next round...
Black delivered a devastating knee to Pink. And we can go for a super slow-mo on that. Just to really get a sense of the... Because it happens so fast, you know? It's like UFC. You hardly fucking notice when the killer blows are sometimes landed, you know? And that was like a real knee to the groin box. Maybe. Fucking lifted it off its feet. Look at that. That's known as the garlic knee in China. And the crowd went crazy for it. You can see them all clapping and loving it in the side. This is just a Saturday afternoon for these lads.
The Silk Artisan down, Black delivered a devastating knee to Pink, but it wasn't enough to keep the Silk Artisan down. The face-off came to a brutal conclusion when Pink went for a right hook as Black went for the knee, throwing the Silk Artisan off balance and sending its legs all over the place in a finisher that looks like it belongs in a Mortal Kombat video game. AI Strategist celebrated the devastating finisher.
There was a malfunction there.
Throwing the Silk Artisan off.
Look at that one. Whatever happened there, the pink robot ended up with the Jimmy legs. I didn't realize the legs could do that 360-degree rotation. But they're fucking scary enough when they start going flailing around like that, you know? They're actually at their scariest when they're wildly fucking flailing around. As we saw in the video there in the lab, you know, the warehouse, whatever you fucking call it. It's not when they're actually doing replications of real human movements. It's when they're going fucking lula. And it's a case of, we need to get out of here and we gotta go.
That video game. AI Strategist celebrated the devastating blow by falling face first over the Silk Artisan in a nail-biting conclusion to a thrilling.
And that's the conclusion.
Match.
Look at this little the music and the camera work as well. Love these kind of MTV kind of Dutch angles. Here he comes. Wow.
The ultimate bout.
The ultimate bout.
Power Core Guardian in green went punch for punch with Armored Mulan in red.
I thought that robot was wearing they wear a silk gown or cape when entering the ring, but it wasn't. It was just like a Chinese lady in traditional Chinese dress walking him in.
Green went punch
walking the robot in. Paul Mescal, thank you very much there. Look at this.
In red. The fight began with a clash of kicks. Robots traded blows
Clash
back
of kicks.
and forth. Green took the first fall when a kick went wrong, but it was back on its feet in no time. The green team was feeling confident, taunting red repeatedly. At one point, the robots got stuck together, needing to be pulled apart by the referee.
They're smart.
The final round saw AI Strategist facing off against Power Core Guardian. Once again, we saw the robots get stuck together and need to be separated. Green took the first fall while attempting to knee the robot in black, but came back strong, seeming totally unmoved by what appeared to be a powerful kick from AI strategist. As the match heated up, the robots traded
Fucking did well to stay on his feet there. Yo! Dara Dermody, thank you very much there. And to Paul Mescal said this robot knockout competition we're witnessing here was held the other day in honor of Brian Wilson, who sadly passed, and that was
the match heated up. The robots traded taunts and
blows.
blows.
But at least they did this tournament, which was nice of the Chinese. I didn't even realize the Beach Boys were big in China.
Punch from the black team
probably
put the green robot on its back. Another well-timed right hook put Green down again. It wasn't looking good for the Green team.
It's what he would have wanted, says Walter.
But Green had one more big push left in it. A jab from Green caught AI strategist in the middle of a kick.
Jab from the Green caught AI strategist in the middle of the kick,
throwing the robot off balance and sending it stumbling into the ropes where it got tangled up. Green fought with a lot of whatever the robot equivalent of heart is, but it wasn't enough. AI strategist took home the top prize at the China Media Group World Robot Tournament.
And there's the confetti, there's the ticker tape parade, the confetti is out.
The G1 humanoid robot comes in several different models, and for this competition, Unitree was showcasing the top-of-the-line EDU model with added combat control. Unitree says the G1 humanoid robot can be controlled by remote control, voice command, or motion sensing control. Remote controls were used in this competition for ease of use and to minimize latency. However, Unitree has shown video of its robots throwing punches, kicks, and taunts with voice commands.
给观众们拍拍屁股。
What do you think about Unitree's robot combat? Real steel IRL or Terminators in the making? Let us know down in the comments. And
Great
if you
stuff.
want to see me get behind
Terminators in the making. Remember to let us know down in the comments. Like and subscribe, and remember to hit that bell every day.
Can be very, very cost effective and very competitive with a minimal amount of intelligence. Ultimately, we will have to go to intelligent machines and distributed intelligence architectures where the robotic element...
100 robots versus one gorilla who wins. Definitely the robots, unfortunately. We'll be sad to see that beautiful, beautiful primate beast besieged by mechanized killers. But I would actually like to fight one of those robots we just seen. But I want to have padding and a metal steel bar or bat, because I don't think flesh versus metal is just not, it's not a fair match. But I'd probably, you know, there's money to be made, I'd say, in one of those situations by like getting, you know, make someone sign a waiver saying, you know, you're okay if you get fucked up, you're not going to sue us, and then letting them fight your robot. You'd have to be able to put the robot back together, obviously, afterwards, you know. But that's not too far away. I know there's a place in Dublin that it's like a chaos room or something like that, where you can fucking pay them and they'll let you into this room for half an hour and you can just fucking smash loads of shite up with a bar. You know, like, you can even bring your own stuff if you want to smash it up. They might provide stuff for you as well. But I can imagine then, not too distant future, paying a lad to let you in a room with one of these robot fellas and just going fucking 90 on the cunt. And then, you know, feeling... all the comments on the reviews on the Google thing for that Smash room, it's all like, this was the best stress relief ever. You know, I've paid for fucking therapy or meditate. I've done meditation courses and this, that, and the other. But this, after fucking half an hour in this room, I just felt like a whole new person, you know?
In a totally automated factory would be in communication through several levels of computer hierarchy.
Matt, you mentioned the Japanese, and the perception is that the Japanese are ahead of us in robotics, and you kind of pointed out a fine line in terms of defining what a robot is. What is your version of what's going on in terms of research in Japan and this country in robots?
I would say that the Japanese are ahead of us in terms of automating their factories. And their way of automating the factories is a very systematic approach of looking at a factory as a unit of production and going in and solving the problem systematically from the bottom end up, looking for the easiest applications that they can resolve, learning in the process, and then moving on to the next most difficult applications. And we see that as a very logical way of introducing automation into our factories. On the other hand, Americans are way ahead, I think, in terms of some of the technologies associated with the anthropomorphic machine. Certainly vision systems, I think we have a lead over the Japanese and perhaps some of the other sensory areas. But it's becoming a world business, and Fanuc Limited, which is one of the leading manufacturers in Japan, has just signed a joint licensing agreement with General Motors. GMF is now going to be, if not already, the leading supplier of automation systems.
Gentlemen, I have to interrupt because we're going to take a short break and then come back
wow,
and meet
lovely.
two personal
That's a
robots
rarity.
hero from...
That's a rarity. In 1983 to see Stu do that, by the way. I didn't think he started that sort of behavior until the 90s. But we see, you know, glimmers of the man inside. Do you know what was to become him in his final form? The hustler, the harrier, the mover, the shaker, the Svengali, the big daddy, the Steuben cigar. Is anger power sustainable? Thank you very much for the tip there. There's a lot of anger out there, Francis. Could we exploit it somehow? Maybe a little war. I said it earlier on when we were looking at the Tel Aviv bombardment that if the war is going to happen soon enough, I don't think it's a popular opinion, but I think a good fucking old-fashioned world war is what we probably need right now.
Did someone just drop a bomb on this ship? Because that stuff was a blast.
And look, a lot of people say that's not the right way to think and not to be warmongering and all that. But let's face it, there's too much going on at the moment. And we need a great big war to really set the table again. Because I think that it'll clean out the pipes. The pipes are clogged at the moment. Every day it's a brand new story of this, that, the other happening. Pressure, pain, anger. And I think the only way to get that out is a good, hearty, old-fashioned, balls to the wall world war. And if you don't believe me, if you don't agree with me, then well, that's fine as well. We're not here to polemicize or to make grandiose statements like we need a war. What we are here to do is to look at robots and Stuart Chaffee as well. And the way Stu hustles and harries these guys, I think a war would hustle and harry humanity into a new state of play, a new way of thinking, a new way of being.
GMF is now going to be, if not already, the leading supplier of automation systems.
Gentlemen, I have to interrupt because we're going to take a short break and then come back and meet two personal robots, Hero from Heathkit and Teach Mover from Microbot. That's coming up in just a moment.
Hero from Heathkit. Is this the hero? There goes my hero.
This is George Oliver, president of George L. Oliver Company. Who,
This, even just as a stance, I suppose you couldn't really call that a stance. I'm getting fucking deja vu looking at this. Have we seen a situation like this before? It's a powerful image. And what would you call that? It's a kneel. It's not a stance, but it's a half stance because one foot is on the ground there from your man. But he's a big fella. He is a big fella. He doesn't look like he'd be into robots. He looks like he would be, you know, on the corner of a fucking... what was it, a meat shop like The Sopranos, a butcher's or something, and in the back, you know, taking bets or fucking telling lads to go and do certain jobs that aren't in the world of meat. And but he's not. He's doing work with robots, and he's got one here. It's the Hero.
Distributes the Hero 1 robot here in Northern California. And George, maybe you could...
What does it do?
Get Hero to give us a basic demonstration of what it does.
Surely.
Lovely. And he's using his middle finger to punch in the buttons there. Lovely numerical keypad. Very mechanical, raised buttons. Ergonomic, chunky. It's a real satisfying sound off them.
Hello, I am Hero, the educational robot. I have a brain, just like you do. But my brain is a computer.
I have a brain just like you do.
almost melodic in its delivery as well.
Hello, I have a brain just like you do.
Oh, I am the robotics educational robot. I have a brain just like you do. But my brain is a computer. My owner programs my computer for me and I always do it.
He's going on a bit, isn't he? I wonder, is Stu going to hustle a robot? Are we going to see the very first hustle maneuver by Stu on Not a Human?
As I'm programmed, I can talk like this. I can turn my head.
And your man there, the mafia guy, he's smiling, he's loving this. But I think Stu might be a little bit reticent to go all in on this, because he knows that there has to be a payoff here. People are saying Big Sam Allardyce. The dice is being cast. The robot is here. He is the hero. What does he even do? What the fuck can this thing do? Dead air.
I can move my arm.
What's that going to do to Stu? I'm not liking this. Where's that going? It's aiming for Stu, and why does it have a grabber on the end of it?
George, how much weight can that arm hold?
It can hold about 8 ounces extended and about a pound when it's fully retracted.
The way your man's talking doesn't sound like a robot nerd at all. It is like a fella who's just in the where have they got this guy from?
It can hold about 8 ounces extended and about a pound when it's fully retracted.
And what kind of functional use could this arm perform?
Oh, that arm could do things like pick up items from one assembly line and move them over to another.
Is that it? George Oliver, president of George Oliver Company. So it's just a man who had his own fucking shed and he made a robot. Chris McBee, thank you very much for the tip there.
Items from one assembly line and move them over to another.
Which assembly line is he on about? It'd have to be a very low down assembly line. You know, it's a small book. The lads are even having to crouch down. So I'm wondering what kind of assembly line. I mean, I suppose, yeah, if there's an assembly line, you could give it, the robot comes up in a little designated robot channel, and I know fucking John down at section B needs your ratchet, and then you can give the robot the ratchet. But I mean, fuck that. You just go and give John the ratchet. And there's dead air all over the shop here. This is going to be irking Stu somewhat.
This arm perform?
Oh, that arm could do things like pick up...
That arm could do things you wouldn't believe.
What use could this arm perform?
Oh, that arm could do things like pick up items from one assembly line and move them over to another.
I can use my gripper. I can move my wrist.
Does Hero have the same normal axes of movement that an industrial robot might have?
They cut away to shots because there's fucking nothing happening, so they cut away to the keypad again. Like we want to see that. We've already seen that.
I can move my grip. I can grip like this. I can move my wrist.
Does Hero have the same normal axes of movement that an industrial robot might have?
Yes, Hero has 6 axes of motion like a Class 3 industrial robot.
There goes my hero. Watch him as he grips.
Yes. Does Hero...
There goes my hero. Look at his wrist.
Panda and elephant, thank you very much for the tip there.
Yes, Hero has 6 axes of motion like a Class 3 industrial robot.
And I can move about.
I can move about.
Little fucking look from Stu there. I wonder what that was. Was that a look of Was that a mocking glance? As if to say, look at the fucking state of this. Or was he looking to see if the camera feed was picking this one, what shot they were on? Probably what shot they were on. Stu's a perfectionist. But look, I mean, you can tell the quality of the resolution doesn't really give it the credence it deserves, but there's a raised eyebrow and a bit of a cheeky sort of face he's making there. I'm glad we got to see that there.
I think I made an excellent pet. I'm leaving the stream.
What? Even George is just laughing. But this is, I mean, why is George laughing? He made the fucking thing and programmed it. So, I mean, this shouldn't surprise him, you know? That laughter is just probably what happens, you know, when he can sense there's a bit of dead air, so you just kind of laugh it off. What does he say? The robot.
I think I made an excellent pet. I'm leaving the stream.
I think I made a web's error that even I can go stream.
Does anybody know what he's been?
I think I made an excellent pet. I'm leaving the stream.
Is he finished?
Hello, I am here already.
Lovely stuff. That is a Hustle and Harry maneuver on a fucking robot. We've just seen it. Thank you very much there. No cheeseoid. Thank you for the tip. No cheeseoid. So we do have the very first video recording of Stuart hustling and harrying a robot. Is he finished?
Is he finished?
Hello, I am here.
Okay.
He wasn't finished, and poor George had to fucking switch him off as he was still saying stuff. The hero was still saying stuff, and George had to fucking swallow his pride and say, yes, he is finished, even though your man was still going,
I am still doing some stuff now.
Thank you very much there, Vincent Brown, for the tip.
Already. I made an excellent pet. I'm leaving the stream.
Is he finished?
Hello, I am here already.
Stop him now.
George, before we take his...
Hello, I can feel hot already.
Hello, I am here already.
Stop him now.
George, before we take his clothes off and see what's inside him, all I see is a keyboard and an LED display here. What do you do with that? And see what's inside him. Okay.
Already.
Stop him now.
George, before we take his clothes off and see what's inside him, tell me, I see is a
Tonight at 9.
Keyboard and an LED display here. What do you do with that?
Yes, this is used for data entry, Stu, and the LED display is to tell you where your information is stored within.
So you can program him through this keyboard.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I see you have a kind of breadboard here. What do you use that for?
Yes, that can be used by students studying interfacing circuits.
Okay, let's take his panels off and see if we can look inside here and see what makes.
I thought because he just said a minute ago, before we take his clothes off, I thought he'd said pants and not panels. I was thinking, why is Stu continuing with this clothes thing?
Okay, let's take his panels off and see if we can look inside here and see what makes him tick, if that's what he does. Okay.
Okay.
I'll help you with the back one if you want to get the front one there.
Easily.
Okay, let's take a look at the front here, George, and what do we have over here?
Okay, this is your main circuit board here.
George is a fucking big fella, and that's some stance as well. And to be doing it in slacks. Probably in a San Francisco TV studio. You know?
With your microprocessor and all of the various ICs that interact with the other boards.
Okay, can I spin them around here while
Sure.
we talk?
Now these various
Lovely
boards
sound.
here are the sensor boards that operate with the various sensors again. This is the main drive control board. This one is the sonar transmitter and receiver board. And around here we have the sonar board and the main drive board And around here we have the voice synthesis board and one of the other sensor boards here.
Okay,
Johnny
mainly you use
5.
Hero as a training robot, as an educational robot, right?
Yes, he's designed to be used by the student in the laboratory to study
Okay,
robotics.
well, George, thanks so much, and now we'll go back to Gary.
As
Pretty
Stuart joins us
fucking
on the set, I'd like to introduce Dusty
quick
Rhodes.
ending for that.
Mainly you use Hero as a training robot, as an educational robot, right?
Yes, he's designed.
But it's some stance as well. I mean, you just got to really appreciate the level that they went on this one as well. Lads getting down on the level of the robot, crouching down, squatting down. And it can't, as I said before, it can't be that easy when you're wearing those clothes as well. You know, it's not comfortable. But they did it, and it was immersive. It was an immersive piece of television. Interlocking spurs. And look at that shoe work. The shoe work is exquisite. And that shoe has been buffed. You can tell because the shine and the sheen is insane.
Designed to be used by the student in the laboratory to study
Okay,
robotics.
well, George, thanks so much.
You can see just before he said, okay, George, Stu did a maneuver with the interlocking spurs. Keep an eye on the hands here. He got a little bit kind of, you know, time is of the essence. He almost did a kind of come to me maneuver to George.
As a training robot, as an educational robot, right?
Yes, he's designed to be used by the student in the laboratory to study
Okay,
robotics.
well, George, thanks so much, and now we'll go back to Gary.
Double spur. Double
As
spur.
Stuart joins us on the set, I'd like to introduce Dusty Rhodes and John Hill of
Dusty Rhodes.
Robotics.
Incredible name.
Dusty.
He used to be a DJ on 2FM called Dusty Rhodes.
You have a device here that looks very interesting. You're going to show us about that?
We sure will. This is our Teach Mover, which is a developmental robot used by industrial engineers to develop work cells in the factory, also for training engineers. Let me show you one little trick.
So his name is Guy Rhodes, but maybe maybe fucking Gary just knows him like as Dusty.
And games it can play. This is the block stacking game.
Wow. Well, that ring is something else as well. Apologies there. I know that it's very excruciating there. The pause and the rewinding and all that, but there really is no other way I want to approach this show. So, I mean, unfortunately, it is just the way it is. But that is somewhat Masonic. It's... I've never seen anything like it. But my interest was initially piqued by the...
one of the little tricks and games it can play.
The hardware.
This is the blocks.
He's going to play a little game with this. The block stacking game. Teach Control by Microbot Incorporated.
Stacking game. And it will find the large block and put it in the middle. The robot has a sensor that can sense how large the device is, and here it says, I have the large block, I'll put it in the middle.
Beautiful.
Now it knows to go back to the previous location for the smaller block and put it on top.
Put it on top.
I'll let it go on for just a moment and show what happens if it finds no block. Now oftentimes we go over and put the blocks in different places and try to fool it. But like a worker who's confused by instructions, if it looks for no block without work, it goes and sits down.
During the setup,
Lovely smile there
you had
from
blocks
Stu.
placed around in various positions, and it wasn't able to find them. I assume that's because the sensing mechanism isn't really doesn't have any vision and so forth. What is that going to be added to this kind of device?
That's true.
Gary's. I said it fucking 20 minutes ago, but the way Gary broaches an item, it's very fun. It's very what would you say, deferential. Like, you know, he doesn't drive the show in so much as like he's an enthusiast, but he's not pushy at all. He doesn't have an ego, and again, I must say, it didn't command a fee.
John could talk about adding a vision to.
And that's because the sensing mechanism isn't really doesn't have any vision and so forth. What is that going to be added to this kind of device?
That's true. John could talk about adding a vision to the work cell or to the robot.
Here's John.
Over to you, John.
Well, if a robot had a camera,
gonna fix this fucking thing here. There's a big line going down there, but it's to do with the light. I need to close the curtain and then put the fucking big light on.
Interface to it, such the camera was looking down over the work area. The computer could process the image and locate the particular block and direct the robot to go there. I mean, that would be possible. And these instances, then the robot could just automatically grab it.
I know that David has worked with vision some. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with John. You could improve this by adding not just vision, you can have range and touch sensing, not just a micro switch like this robot has, more an array of touch sensors. Also, you could add some smarts into it so it knows what it is doing, and if it makes an error, it'll blow the whistle.
David, where are we in adding smarts to robots?
Well, we are struggling. Sensors are being added to robots today, and they are applied gradually into in industry. There are other applications of robots that would have to have sensors. These are unstructured environments, such as in the military or agriculture, in medical institutions, etc., or home use too. This is an area that is very difficult because.
What nationality is he? It's a debate that's going on. Is he French or Canadian? Israeli, says Little John. Reminds us, let's just check back on what's going on there with the old bombardment that was going on, the initial beginning of the stream there. As it developed into anything more or less terrifying than what was being seen. I mean, it wasn't really that terrifying, but it was definitely a step up in rhetoric from last year's bombardment, which was the Iron Dome managed to catch a lot of it, 9 injured in strikes.
I mean, it was well planned.
Any more footage of
international law that governs the relationship between
kicking off in Jerusalem? Look, it's Tel Aviv.
I think we will see various steps on Iran's part. Not all of them, perhaps not even most of them, warlike.
We have seen a retaliatory strike from Iran.
Iran are getting on the mic.
Of the illegitimate Zionist regime. With Iran's air defences mostly destroyed, they carried out wave after wave of attacks throughout.
Wave after wave, slowly drifting
the day. Israel's Prime Minister justified the operation as a fight for his country's very existence.
Moments ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons.
The key nuclear facility in Natanz, where uranium is enriched, was hit multiple times.
What was your man's name there? This fella, was it David Nitzen? But what was it, David? Yeah, it probably is Israeli. David Nitzen robots. David Nitzen. Development of intelligent robots. Doesn't give you where he's from. He's on fucking IMDb for his appearance on Computer Chronicles anyway. He works for High Tech Israel. It's a bit of a giveaway. Didn't even notice that there.
For 15 years.
Robotics Department at SRI International. SRI. David Nitzen. SRI. He's on LinkedIn. You can't fucking do it. You have to...
Israel tried to penetrate the chambers deep underground. Iran said that civilians, including children, were killed in some of the strikes and vowed to retaliate.
This barbaric act that violated all international commitments confirms the criminal nature of the illegitimate Zionist regime that has based its existence on occupation, aggression, and killing children.
Missile launchers in Iran were also targeted.
But really, though, what can they do? Like, what can fucking Iran really do? You know, they don't have the weaponry power that the Israelis have, you know? So, and they haven't nukes. They can't really fucking do much, can they? Thank you very much there, Otis. Big shout out to all the crazy little guys attending QCon in Belfast tomorrow. Guaranteed to be a highly Japanistic affair. I'm hoping for many stream-related cosplays, such as Sam Alardici and the Roach. They just hit the Israeli War Ministry. News coming through the chat box on this live stream. Unbelievable stuff. The War Ministry has been hit. The Israeli War Ministry. That's game on, isn't it? That's fucking game on. They can't let that lie. That it has to be a big war now, doesn't it? I mean, the last time it was a load of rockets getting intercepted in the sky last year, I remember saying, it's a load of fucking lula stuff. It'll all be nothing in the morning. But this looks like it could be something in the morning, do you know?
Days in which
that looks like it's nothing now. I saw an image there in Tel Aviv an hour ago, and there was bombs. And now it looks fine.
President Trump spoke about.
I think nothing's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be a load of old fucking poppycock.
Okay, but that's not where the big money would be, other than on a toy level.
But you know, if you take a parallel with I guess with the microcomputer, popularity of microcomputers and personal computers, a lot of that was a grassroots effort. The invention of the Apple, for example, by Steve Wozniak was a technical hobbyist endeavor, and it's kind of exciting to me to see robotics now come through that grassroots evolution.
He loves it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's wonderful. I think
I love that little gesticulation at the end, like kind of like as if to say, "Come on, man, give me something here. I'm right, aren't I?"
Come through that grassroots evolution.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know, I've done that many times before. You know, when it's a situation where a conversation's being had and no, they're not getting what you're saying. You end up just like going, "Come on, man!" Like,
with you, I think it's
robotics now come through that grassroots evolution.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's wonderful. I think there's a good analogy between computers and robots. Just like computers started just for commercial and scientific applications, now it's all over our life, right? And I think the same thing is going to happen with robots. And I think it's a great idea that there are a lot of hobbyists that are getting into it, because there's a new generation now that would not be afraid of robots, that would be able to apply it in many areas of our life.
David, something like this is relatively simple. I mean, it's an
areas.
What little inquisitive stance, the thinker, Auguste Rodin. What's this little maneuver here?
David, something like this is.
That's great. Humans are interested enough, aren't they? The way they fucking transfix themselves into a certain position in order to field a question. But I suppose it's just the body language, isn't it? He's not even, that's a subconscious act where he's ready to take the information in. And in order to take the information in, a pose like this helps with that, you know? Your body needs to be ready for the question. So he doesn't know what Stu's going to say, and Stu's one of the toughest in the biz. Thank you very much there, Jack, the boy ripper. Thank you very much. Great to see a bit of streamage. I'm thinking now the Iranians could do with a bit of Metal Gear situation themselves. Look, I mean, who knows what kind of fucking top secret Black Ops weapons might end up rearing their ugly head in the event of a global thermonuclear war. But I, for one, am very interested to see the tech.
Be able to apply it in many areas of our life.
David, something like this is relatively simple. I mean, it's an arm, it can pick things up and so on.
Right.
You talked before about not only
Bongo McSween, thank you very much. Look at Stu. Resplendent.
Replacing blue-collar work with robots, but even white-collar work. How do you do that?
Well, you saw what Dusty was doing. He was using this teaching box to tell the robot what to do. And if this information that he has in his head could be transferred into an automatic system, it could be done. Specifically, computer-aided design database includes all the information that is needed to perform a certain job. Now, we can eliminate the trainer that uses the teach pendant to move the robot and tell it what to do by using self-teaching and self-calibration, that all the information would be transferred to a computer, and with the sensors would tell the robot where to find things and calibrate itself and then do the job.
Okay, Gary, well, if you and I aren't...
And calibrate itself and then do the job.
Do the job.
Okay, Gary, well, if you and I aren't replaced by robots, we'll be here again next week for another edition of the Computer Chronicles.
What a great way to end the show. But how is it the end of the fucking show? There's still 21 minutes. Huh? And I love the way it goes dark and they all just sit there. But there is one piece of the studio that is illuminated, and that's the humble computer at the desk they have there as well. Almost person-like with its head and its mouth. And you have these little decoration bits as well, the silicone shape and your San Francisco skyline as well.
Microfocus, creators of visual programming tools for software development, is pleased to provide major funding to the Computer Chronicles of this continuing evolution.
The story of this continuing evolution.
What's going on? Where are they taking us? Bit of ragtime, is it? Is this a bad thing for kids to be playing this? Take one of those, you'll be in fucking computer world for a week, man. Do you want one of these? Thank you very much, Stinks of Autonomous. What the fuck is going on?
Random access is made possible by a grant from Byte, the small
way.
systems journal.
No way was Random Access, the fucking Computer World news section, a separate entity.
Publishers of a monthly magazine on microcomputer technology and innovative projects in the world of computing.
Byte.
In the Random Access file this week, the TV news stories...
What the fuck is that? Nobody move, please. Just stay quiet.
These may all be about Cabbage Patch dolls, but the real hot Christmas gift this year is unquestionably the low-priced home computer. Analysts now say 2.5 million computers will be under the Christmas tree this weekend, replacing last year's winner, video games, as the most popular Christmas
computer games.
Game Boy present. And if industry figures are right, that will mean over 1 million computers thrown into the closet in just a few weeks, saturating even more the growing supply of used computers. That's leading to a fast-growing new business, computer swap meets and used computer stores. Computer Swap America, based in Palo Alto, will be expanding to 5 other cities across the country next year. And the Interstate Computer Bank, which used to sell used computers through the mail, has now opened up a storefront operation in Mountain View. Atari and Activision are hoping to pump some new life into the slumping video game business. The 2 largest video game suppliers, handheld gaming devices, announced this week a joint venture to distribute new video games via broadcast technology. Computer game system early next year, and they say they hope to expand their service to include non-game software.
Non-game software, lads.
Well, if Christmas...
And look, he pioneered the little fucking change of camera on the random access section of the show. Janelle Stelson was, you know, just a one-camera operator, but Stu, look at him, look the way he'll go from one to the next, and that's his decision. You know that he made that decision. No one else. No one was going to tell him how to do it. He was going to tell them how it was done.
Software. Well, if Christmas '83 belongs to computers, the new year of 1984 may be called the Year of the Mouse.
1984, the Chinese Year of the Mouse. Ladies and gentlemen.
Wastes of skin. Analysts are saying the mouse business may grow to more than $10 million next year, and the consensus of opinion seems to be that the optical mouse will replace the mechanical mouse. One of the leaders in the field is Mouse Systems Corporation of Santa Clara. They expect to more than quadruple their business next year. 1984 will certainly be the year of the
year of the good year for chips. Thank you very much there, Brent Eagle, for the tip. Cannot stop chanting Jerusalem, you've broken me. It's a great fucking song, and I can't even fault you for doing it. Might even do it myself.
Jerusalem, 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 Jerusalem.
Semiconductor estimates are now the chip industry sales will grow by more than 30% next year. In fact,
great year for chips. 1984 had the best chips. You're having the chips.
Domestic orders in November hit an all-time high of $1 billion. Indeed,
$1 billion. And look at that fucking... He's gone from... I think he's got 3 cameras on the go for this. Because I haven't seen that blue steel. Fucking brilliant, man. Great year for chips. And a great year for Stu as well. Watch this one.
$1 billion.
Okay, Stu, go to 3.
Indeed, the stock market...
Bit of a skip there.
November hit an all-time high of $1 billion.
Looks nervous, says Tukos. He's not.
Indeed, the stock market has turned the chip companies into their favorites this fall after dumping on many other high-tech stocks. As the year ends, let's take a look at the year's big winners and losers. The winners were Intel, selling around 41 after hitting a low of 17 this year. National Semi
National Semi is after you.
Selling at nearly 16 after...
Got a fucking sweet job working for National Semi, man. Yeah, we're going to the moon next Tuesday. Intel are fucking sweating bullets because National Semi are right behind them in the fucking competition polls.
They're plunging to below 7 earlier in the year.
Don't get me started on those fucking geeks over at Tandem. And Genentech. Genen, fuck, man. It's all about the Semi, boys. 1984 is going to be the year of the Semi.
Other strong finishers are Tandem and Genentech. On the losing side are Activision, selling near $4 after...
Big losers, but eventually massive fucking winners.
Hitting nearly 13 earlier this year. And Eagle down below 9 after hitting nearly 25. Other losers were Apple.
Big losers, Apple. Unbelievable, isn't it? Dirty Protest, thank you very much.
Down considerably from its high, and Televideo also near its yearly low. If you're into the stock market, don't throw away that computer. Value Line has announced a new monthly software service called Value Screen. For about $500 a year, Value Line will send you a new disc every month, measuring 32 factors for each of some 1,600 common stocks.
What a fucking ripoff.
You can program the discs to look for certain key criteria and have the computer recommend transactions. The Osborne Company is back, though in a very different form. Osborne's creditors have reportedly agreed to a reorganization under new president and CEO
but changed.
Ronald Brown.
This is fucking brilliant. This is a longer cut of random access. They changed it in later series and incorporated it into the main meat of the show. But this is like a separate thing that goes on for 10 minutes. All sorts of fucking random tech news.
Osborne will get out of manufacturing, probably out of the domestic market, and will focus on its new IBM-compatible executive model. Rumors are flying over pending upgrades in the IBM PC Junior. Lukewarm press has reportedly sent IBM back to the drawing boards. High on the list is an upgraded keyboard after many complaints about the chiplet-style Junior keyboard. There's also talk of adapting the Junior to enable it to handle 2 disk drives. Apple finally made some progress this week in its battle to stop the trade in fake Apple computers. For a while, the problem of the fake apples was thought to be limited to Southeast Asia, but the phony apples have started showing up right here in California. This week, U.S. Customs officials seized about 400 fake apples from computer dealers in San Francisco, Santa Ana, and Cupertino. Criminal charges are pending.
How are you?
We all know and use BASIC at one time or another, but do you know who wrote BASIC? 2 Dartmouth professors, John Kemeny and Thomas Kurtz, and they hardly made a penny off one of the most widely used languages. Well, they're going to try again with a new language they call True Basic, a supposedly universal BASIC that will run on almost all machines.
I don't think True Basic was as good as the last BASIC they made, that they didn't fucking cash in on Tombolo boys!
It's due out late next year. And if you're into this kind of thing, you may...
Nobody move, please. We just got a tip. Stay quiet. We're returning to the live stream. Tombolo, thank you very much. How are you? Thank you very much.
They get excited about knowing that the world's record was broken last week for factoring the largest number.
Nobody don't call. We have a Supra. We're doing some donuts. Just stay quiet.
Thing you may get.
Just, sorry about that. Change back to the normal voice there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much there to Tom Bola away. Very, very kind of you. Just, I think part of the news of random access here is that some number has been factored.
Get excited about knowing that the world's record was broken last week for factoring the largest number.
That's news in the tech world.
Cray 1 supercomputer in Albuquerque, New Mexico, factored a 67-digit number in just over 13 hours. The record had been a 50-digit number. There actually is a practical aspect of this, since many computer security systems are based on the supposed impossibility of factoring numbers of that size. Well, we often hear that one of the wonderful things about computers on the job is that they never call in sick. Well, one computer did this week in Sacramento after being shot at by 2 teenagers. The computer kept attendance records at a Sacramento high school. I guess the kids had cut too many classes.
No footage of that, no interviews or anything like that, just a casual story about a robot. Was it a robot that was open fired, like some teenagers shot at it? I just want to see that again, sorry. Because Stu's face there, a bit of a pained expression on Stu. It's a rarity.
Practical aspect of this, since many computer security systems are based on the supposed impossibility of factoring numbers of that size.
Did you see that again?
Well, we often hear that one of the wonderful things about computers on the job is that they never call in sick. Well, one computer did this week in Sacramento after being shot at by 2 teenagers. The computer kept attendance records at a Sacramento high school. I guess the kids had cut too many classes.
It's a lovely joke.
And a robot testified this week at
a robot testified at a fucking trial, a murder trial maybe.
Casino Control Commission hearing in Atlantic City.
Kind of crazy stuff was going on in America in 1983.
A casino there wants to use the robot on the gambling floor to promote its entertainment shows. The robot said it was only 1 year old.
How could the robot fucking have a conversation? How can it reason? I mean, we've only got to that level now where the the fucking AI can reason. How could that have happened in 1983?
The commission said the law prohibits minors from being on the gambling floor. Well, that's clearly enough.
Was that another joke as well that I've missed?
Cut too many classes. And a robot testified this week at a Casino Control Commission hearing in Atlantic City. A casino there wants to use the robot on the gambling floor to promote its entertainment shows. The robot said it was only 1 year old. The commission said the law prohibits minors from being on the gambling floor. Well, that's...
Did the robot actually take the stand in a court of law in America? Like, what do I know about robots in America? Zero. But who's to say that robot was contradicting? The casino wasn't open yet. But I mean, maybe it was the owner of the robot, or the maker of the robot. But the way Stu is presenting the story is that, you know, you have the idea of a robot in the dock, so to speak, saying, you know, I can't work, I'm only a child robot. A lot of questions unanswered, and I just feel as though maybe Random Access, I was singing its praises for having a separate entity, Random Access, but was this just Stu's kind of playtime section where he could have a few jokes about stuff? I'm not sure.
That's clearly enough from this week's Random Access File. We'll be off next week due to the holidays, but we'll see you again.
It's Christmas, so.
Next year, immediately following the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee.
Love that. I love when people say, see you next year, and when the next year is in a few days. I love it even more when it's Stu saying they're going to be straight back, no fucking messing around, no lazy bastardness. And this side of town, we're going straight back into the Computer Chronicles as soon as the new year hits.
Random Access is made possible by a grant from Byte, the Small Systems Journal, publishers of a monthly magazine on microcomputer technology and innovative projects in the world of computing.
And nothing there on the end of that. But another absolutely fantastic episode, which has to be ticked off on our thing. The synopsis, of course, robotic hardware and software and robotics-based applications. Click, watched, done. You just don't get this sort of crack anywhere else. Obviously, you do have the CHRONS Tracker 5000, another great site. It's just that I've been logged in to the Dara site for some time.
Twisted.
I'm Stuart Chaffee.
Twisted.
I'm Stuart Chaffee.
Twisted.
I'm Stuart Chaffee.
Look at this. I mean, look at this. We've even got little bars, like status completion bars of each season or series, whatever way you want to skin that apple. And I think Dara has been toiling away, should I say, and turning the screw, so to speak, and making little adjustments here and there to his site. I mean, when I click on this now and I look for episodes, not only are the ones we've watched ticked, but they're grayed out, which is brilliant. And the ones that we haven't seen pop right out of the press, ready to fucking watch. And you've all these lovely thumbnails as well. And you've Frank Sordello, who looks like Don Revy. And he's the vice president of Memorex. Some great faces. Some fantastic faces of the 80s. Ergonomics. Software utilities. That guy. We've seen him. Almost slightly Robin Williams-esque in a way, but not. Brilliant stuff. And Frank McCourt, thank you very much. You've censored me before, Pat. You won't fucking censor me again. Vincent Brown, thank you very much for your tip as well. Stuart Chaffee, PCTV promo video. I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. Okay. Let's have a look. Quick update into what's going on over there.
Response will be firm.
And we're at the UN Security Council.
To restore deterrence, defend our sovereignty, and uphold the principles of international law.
Tell you what the UN Security Council is good for. Fuck all. Because I got really into the UN Security Council a few years ago when the war was kicking off. And the way it was presented to us was like, oh man, the fucking UN Security Council are about to meet now. We're going live. And I was watching it thinking, wow, I'm one of the few people watching the live stream. People are missing out. Stuff's going to happen now. And nothing happened. It's just lads talking, right? And then nothing happens. Nothing happens at all. And it all goes down inside this massive, luxurious building. You know, the hallways, plush carpets, art everywhere on the walls, unbelievable architecture. And then just like loads of people talking shop. Nothing really becoming anything of it, you know? So I think maybe having played Metal Gear Solid 2 the other day and then having all that lore dumped about the way all this is just a bit of an old show. But I mean, you can be cynical and say that, then obviously you have to cater for people who are like, yeah, but I mean, at least it's something, you know, we have to have something. At least something's been said and done. And it makes a case, and it makes a statement, and it sends a message. But who does it send a message to, really? Is it just us? Look at the blacks have been crushed on that hair. It really is a dark, dark situation. And fair play to him for having such a fucking jet black, dark mane at that age, whatever age he is. I cannot see even a hint or suggestion of grey. It's fantastic. I wonder, is that maintenance and upkeep? And if it is it a pain in the arse, you know? Just extra shit you have to be doing.
Cities, neighborhoods, communities. They are striking population centers, not military bases, not Air Force bases, cities. Dozens are injured.
I mean, it boggles my fucking mind the way the Yanks host this and make it, you know, they provide the arena and the space for this shop talk to happen.
That radical regime.
And most of the talk then is like on the good side of, it's all for the good side of history. A lot of people just, you know, saying the things that need to be said. But then it's the Yanks then that fucking provide and cater to some of the enemies that they're on about in this, you know? It's a bizarre scenario. And again, Metal Gear Solid 2, or fucking Sons of Liberty.
Eliminate the architects of
it all goes back to it, the Patriots. Vardy Teabag, thank you very much there for the tip.
To follow through on its repeated public promise to destroy the state of Israel. For years, Iran has declared its intent. Its leaders have spoken without
hesitation. Or leaders.
Less than a month ago, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei called a quote.
And this is Danny Dannon from Israel.
IRGC commanders have vowed to, quote, open the gates of hell on Israel.
Oh, they love, the Israelis love fucking having props and pictures and stuff.
Picture from the main square in Tehran. The streets of Tehran display a countdown.
Imagine him having a walk around the corridors of the UN with that. And like some people might see it, maybe, I wonder, does he have a sheath or a cover over it? But the Netanyahu pictures that he had during the General Assembly, I think he's done it a few times, but he always has shitty kind of fucking like illustrations on boards and stuff that he brings out as a prop. And it really looks cheap, you know, it cheapens the message that they're trying to get across.
Clock. At the time of the photo, you can see it in Arabic, it was at 8,411 days. It is tracking the regime's planned timeline for Israel's destruction, paid by the government, putting it in the main squares in Tehran. These threats have been made on a near-daily basis. Never again will we dismiss such threats. Paid by the regime's planned timeline for Israel's destruction. Paid by the...
How are you getting on? Yeah, I did. I got an offer from some internet company to do a bit of advertising, and I think it's going really well.
Government putting it in the main squares in Tehran. For too long, the world convinced itself that these were just words.
Dannon Probiotic.
Genocidal slogans and threats to erase us.
Thank you very much. Danone Probiotic. Eat it up. It's good for you. Don't worry about that other stuff.
We know our enemies. We know their ideology. We waited while Iran developed trigger mechanisms, detonation systems, and plans for warheads.
There was a lot of optimism there with robots in 1983. And it just goes back to that. But I mean, obviously, Sky there pivoting to the fucking Security Council. That's when you know nothing's happening. When the news live feeds go, and now over to the Security Council, that's when you know the real juice has left the building. All the important stuff has already happened. The next fucking 24 hours probably just chat. A special sitting of the Security Council. Computers in the media, 1985. Maybe a net cafe. Maybe a net cafe. I mean, it's meant to be just be a quick blast scenario. I didn't really want to go deep into the computer world too much. Irish Vegan Muscleman, thank you very much there. Serious stuff. You see there, serious stuff. Maybe we can just have Danone on in the background while we're selecting an episode.
We waited while its leadership actively recruited more nuclear scientists.
The little ship lollipop.
We waited while Iran constructed a ballistic missile industry so large and sophisticated, and we can expose it now, that it was intended to challenge the US and Russia.
What about this? Psychological software, the use of computers to analyze personality and diagnose problems of human relations.
We waited for diplomacy to work. We gave the international community time. We watched negotiations stretched on as Iran made forced concessions or refused the most fundamental conditions.
Good evening, it's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10. We are going to take you straight away to the
surface missile array. Israeli Air Force fighter jets, guided by precise intelligence, completed a series of strikes against the Iranian regime's missile capabilities. Dozens of launchers, missile storage facilities, and additional military sites were destroyed.
Nuclear warhead waste disposal facility on Shadow Moses.
What we need now is a fucking terrorist group to take control, a rogue group of terrorist spec ops specialists to take control of some particular nuke or something and to really shake up the scene. Because the nation states aren't fucking bringing it to the table. It's like a rocket here, a rocket there. Have a bit of this, have a bit of that, tit for tat. You need, what is it, Foxhound or Dead Cell or some, I mean, come on. It's ready, it's ripe. It's a tinderbox. It's a powder keg. The world is ready to blow. All we need is the right guys in the right place at the right time.
Late last year, Iran launched wave after wave of ballistic missiles at our sea effort. Madam President, this operation was carried out because the alternative was unthinkable.
Well, that's that. Back to this. Computers in the Pentagon. I mean, I wanted to maybe just bump it up to maybe the 90s at least to see, you know, a step change in urgency vis-a-vis the presentational style of the show. But you see something like this. Beg your pardon. This psychological software, the use of computers to analyze personality and diagnose problems of human relations. Now, again, have we watched it? It isn't clicked on Dara's site, but I mean, I think I've seen it before. I Thank you very much. Just as I say, speak of the devil, Dara is there. Thank you very much for the tip. If you were a member of Foxhound, what would be your weird gimmick superpower? Probably just spinning on my fucking chair, which I've done numerous times during many other streams, or just like kicking the dummy to death again. I don't know. I haven't thought about it, but it's a serious question and one that really should be. I should furnish you with some proper details of a good, solid answer, but I'll have to think about that. Keep you uppies, I suppose. Yeah, Sean, that's definitely it. I don't really have any other talents. I mean, if you could call that a talent. But we could just click into this and just get a little... If we can dip out. I mean, I don't like leaving one unwatched, but fuck it, let's do it. Great sound.
That special relationship between a therapist and his patient.
Please tell me Stu is in the fucking room with them. They let a therapist and his patient, right, let Stu into the room to do a fucking link for the Computer Chronicles. While that patient was telling the therapist lots of private details about their life. Supercomputer.
One of the fundamentals of psychological therapy? Well, perhaps not anymore with the advent of psychological software.
He's just there, look, right in the corner. It's fucking lovely. And also harsh lighting as well. You can see Stu's silhouette at the back. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful curvature on the dome, the skull, the cranium, the cown, the head, the tet. The man, the myth, the legend, the Stu. And I wonder, do they still do that nowadays where, you know, they get the patient to fucking lie down on a chaise longue, or they get them on a lazy boy seat to put the legs up? Probably wouldn't be done nowadays. It wouldn't really be best practice. Maybe, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm jumping ahead here, but he doesn't look comfortable there either. You know, he's got the hand on the side of the desk for stability, and that sort of, you know yourself, if you've ever tried to fucking write on an A4 jotter balanced on your knees, it's never a comfortable endeavor. Usually ends with a load of illegible scribblings and whatnot. But that's working for him anyway. Is it coverage? Is it a cover-up operation? We don't know.
Special relationship between a therapist and his patient.
But I'd be more concerned with the fact that if I was the lady there trying to get therapy off this fella,
one of the fundamentals
there's a man
of
in the
psychological
corner
therapy?
of the room.
Well, perhaps not anymore with the
doing
advent
this.
of psychological software for computers, a shrink on a disk. How good is this stuff? Is it just a toy or a serious tool? We'll get answers to these questions as we take a look at psychological software on this edition of the Computer Chronicles.
It's an old one. It's an old theme.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by a grant from AFIPS, the American Federation of Information Processing Societies. AFIPS, sponsors of OAC 86, the nation's leading conference on business technology. For conference information, call 800-OAC-1986. Exploring today's business solutions. Additional funding is provided by McGraw-Hill, publishers of Byte. Byte's detailed technical articles on new hardware, software, and languages cover the latest in microcomputer technology worldwide. Byte, the international standard.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and this is Gary.
Studios come on leaps and bounds. In 3 years since 1983, it's 1986 now. And look at the illuminated set. It's a lot better. The backdrop, no longer the sun-kissed sort of sundown San Francisco, more bright, kind of midday afternoon. You've got the Transamerica Pyramid. Almost as if it's popping out the top of that fucking computer monitor there. And Stu just playing with some application, and Gary watching it.
Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and this is Gary Kildall. And Gary, we're taking a look at a program here called Intracourse. And
Intracourse.
What it claims to be able to do is to... We're taking a look at a program here called Intracourse. And what it claims to be able to do is to help couples with sexual compatibility or incompatibility.
So what's this graph about then? What's this graph gonna do?
Problems. And I've answered Kildall, and Gary, we're taking a look at a Welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and this is Gary Kildall. And Gary, we're taking a look at a program here called Intracourse. And what it claims to be able to do is to help couples with sexual compatibility or incompatibility problems. And I've answered about 100 or so questions, giving it a profile of two fictional people. And it's giving me now a graphic readout.
So you've got a fucking axis here of, I don't know, fucking intimacy and distance. And, well, what is the graph? What's the axis here? What's this line going to denote? That's the X and Y of it. Personal continuum at the top of the screen. I don't know if you can notice that there. You're not a killer. No, I'm not. You've got this sort of distance and then intimacy at the top. Personal continuum here. Exit to main menu. Just press red. And category 10. Your score 4 out of a possible 8. Press any key to continue.
Out on one of these people, the intimacy versus distance factor. Another one here is conventionality versus ingenuity, for example. Individual.
So this was going to help people in relationships, moribund relationships, really increase the relationship, get it back to fucking winning ways again. Just a load of bar charts. I don't know about that. I think the problems may run deeper than a fucking computer program, but I mean, I don't want to poo-poo it just yet. It could have been amazing. I'd never heard of this though. Intracourse. It's called Intra. Darren Mack, thank you very much there for the tip. Very, very kind of you.
And it's giving me now a
and Vincent Brown, thank you very much.
Graphic readout on one of these people, the intimacy versus distance factor. Another one here is conventionality versus ingenuity, for example. Individuality versus interpersonality. And in fact, it'll give me a
No, you may optionally print the following 4 screens of information to your printer by pressing the Shift key and print screen key together once for each screen you wish to print. So you could print out the findings and then sit down with your spouse, your partner or whatever over the dinner table or whatever, maybe when the kids have gone to bed, and then go through the files which denote what and where and who and why and when is to blame for the failing relationship.
Compatibility percentage on 12 different characteristics of these two.
Dominance, submissiveness, trust, mistrust, activity, passivity, independence, dependence. Are you love prone? Are you non-love prone? What about sensuality? What about sexuality? What about homosexuality and heterosexuality? Strong versus weak sex drive, intimacy versus distance, conventionality versus ingenuity. I don't know what's going on here. Individuality and interpersonality. Overall compatibility. And then, is that a fucking suggestive graphic? Or is it just leading us onto the score over here? I'm not sure.
Particular people. It's just one example of the whole host.
Oh, that was
12 different characteristics.
That leads into 60. You scored 66.25%. Okay, you only scored 16 on homosexuality. Okay, but you scored 100 on love prone. You'll be glad to hear. Only 25 on conventionality. Conventionality.
It's just one example of the whole host of psychological software which is out on the market right now. Question I have is, how does a dumb number crunching computer do anything useful with regard to human?
Years ago, I was thankful for your tip. Intracourse.
Thank you very much.
Behavior.
Well, Stuart, number crunching computers have been used for years to sum up the scores, say, of objective tests like personality inventories. When it comes to non-objective programs, well...
And you say Teresa Carmody was 3 days away from her death when you wrote that you had intracourse.
Programs like this, for example, can be a lot of fun, but there's a real question about how valuable the computer analysis really is. But it may give us a chance to use things like expert systems, rule-based systems to get those meaningful answers.
We're going to take a look at a whole range of psychological software today, from self-help programs to more sophisticated software that's used in professional psychotherapy. We'll begin by taking a look at how psychiatrists use psychological software to help people with serious mental problems.
Beautiful stuff. It's a big, big opening gambit for this scene. How computers can be used for people with serious mental problems. Let's jump right into it.
How psychiatrists use psychological software to help people with serious mental problems.
Patients recovering from severe head trauma usually undergo lengthy rehabilitation to try to regain basic cognitive functions.
I'm sensing that we could be entering a dangerous few moments where it could be very, very dangerous for us to say or make jokes. So we will just approach these next few moments with dignity and respect.
Exercises to improve concentration, memory, or motor skills involve repetitive games administered by a therapist. But computers are changing cognitive therapy, often with impressive results. Mental exercises most suited to head injury patients are easily adapted to a computer program. Specialized...
I was all up for the therapist and that, but when it gets to people who've really had fucking serious injuries, we might need to just move on a little bit there. Let's get to psychware. Let's just go to psychware there.
Joining us now in the studio are Dr. Jim.
Bit concerning that when it cuts back, the lads are all smiling and laughing like maybe they've been having a bit of a fucking joke. Which is a shame because I put a lot of fucking respect on these guys, you know? I'd hate to think that that something was being said or there was a bit of fucking humour going on. Thank you very much, Cardinal O'Flanagan, for the tip.
Joining us now in the studio are Dr. Jim Johnson, a psychologist and the president of Human Edge Software, makers of MindProber and Mind Over Minors, among others. Also, we have with us Dr. James Gardner, also a psychologist who has developed some software which is used in treating serious mental health problems. Gary?
Jim, we'll start out with a question.
We could have picked a dodgy episode.
Question. Is it really possible nowadays with a computer program to get meaningful results of a subjective analysis of someone's behavior?
Sure. I think that at a surface level, the kind of thing that you and I might want on a day-to-day basis, you can do a lot with a computer. That's not to say that it can do the same thing as a professional or somebody who's going to take a more intense look, but you can do certainly much more in an interactive mode than you can, say, with a book, which is the common alternative.
Okay. Jim, what's your
Well, I'd be a little more cautious than Jim. We spend on the programs we develop a great deal of time.
Who does he look like?
Assessing the
one of the Harry Enfield Scousers. Or maybe Kevin Keegan.
Reliability, validity, and
Mario.
Accuracy of the data that's inputted right while it's inputted. And we won't run a program unless that information is reliable, valid, and accurate. And where it's not, we require the people to go back and change the...
Tommy Schluck. Oh, let's get the cap out. Get the snap back out.
Well, firstly, when you're dealing with people who've had a bit of bother in the mind, you first have to look at the computer and say to the computer, what can the computer do to help that person? And if it means moving a mouse,
In the particular case of the program we'll see in a minute, that's more oriented, I guess, toward consumer.
Sure.
Average consumer.
Sure.
Can we take a look at the program, see how it works?
Sure. This is Mindprober, and it's the...
No, it's Mind Over Miners.
I'm sorry.
Minecraft.
Mind over miners, and it really has two components. You assess yourself, you assess your child, and then it gives you a report. Now, the purpose of assessing yourself and the other is so it can categorize who you are, categorize who the other person is, and then tailor down the strategy for how to deal with them. In my
Let's
case,
see how you do that assessment, Jim.
we've gone ahead and I filled in a series of things, and they're simple adjectives like bossy, active, and so on. I'm not going to go through all of these in the interest of time. So, assuming I've gone through...
What the fuck is this book here? Has a picture of someone on it. Is that a face? Or a fucking... a torso? Like, that looks like a fucking belly button. Weird, man. Whatever it is, it's fucked up. It's scary.
Through those 50 items, now I'd go through and I'd want to assess the child that is of interest. In this case, I have put in my daughter, Jenny.
Let's stop just a second to see some of these traits, though, Jim.
All right, so it's rating on agree or disagree on, like, anxious, she's not, bossy, she is, like most teenagers, active, clear thinking, not idealistic, and so on.
Okay, and there's about 50 of these.
About 50 in each case that are developed scientifically by norming various groups of people observing their children. So if we
I have no idea what this software is.
And go to what the output of the program is. Again, coming back to the main menu, you can then ask for a report. The only person we have in here is Jenny, and the report comes out where it tells you there's a book that comes along with it. Tells you there's some generic advice.
A little bit of built-in advertisement there.
Yes, of course. And we want this one to go to the screen. And what comes out is, the first section is understanding her. And the point of this is to talk about who the two of you are and how you're likely to get along. No advice in this, but just to give you some idea. Talks in this case about we're both adventure-seeking, and be prepared for that. Don't be too upset if she's like you are. And this goes on for roughly a page and a half. Next thing, it gives a set of specific advice in areas that parents are interested in. The performance now.
There's a more professional surface. People might say, well, this is a superficial program. It is. They're just asking a couple of questions and come up with a few paragraphs. So
Smiling Gary. I like the way Gary smiles and in his initial conversational salvo to get the guest on his side, and then he hits him with the question bomb at the end with no smile. It's a great approach. Lure them in.
It is. They're just asking a couple of questions.
With his amenable
and come up with a few paragraphs.
Demeanor.
Is this technology based in, say, a more professional system of some sort?
Oh, sure. These programs, this particular program, we have about 5 to 10 man-years in. I'm unhappy to say because it took a lot longer than I think I thought would happen. There's a tremendous amount of research. In order to build these programs, we have to go through all the extra books as well as the research area and abstract them and pull them down to the things. They're not, we market them as something to be useful to parents, but we use a kind of tongue-in-cheek attitude. But I'm a former professor and a former scientist, and we don't put out anything that we haven't done a good deal of research on.
Jim, what is your opinion of this program? Is it valuable?
Well, I think it's a very valuable tool for non-serious problems. The kind of work
I think it's great, and I do a bit of computing myself every now and again, and I do have a floppy disk that has pictures of cars and machinery on it, and
just right now.
Yeah, our program is used by people in...
There's a picture of 1,000 different types of machinery on it, and they're all categorized into different shapes, different sections. You've got aeronautical vehicles, and you have land-based and sea-based.
Kind of simple case, I suppose, of an expert system. You have a much more sophisticated kind of AI component in your BIP program. Tell us about that.
Well, our program deals with...
It's a fantastic floppy, and it's the only floppy disk I own, to be honest. I don't really do much else other than I put that into the disk drive and then belt away for a couple of hours just looking at different pictures of the cars and the planes and the buses.
Whether or not the person does better or improves.
Whether or not you're into that sort of stuff or not, it's still interesting to look at. We've seen many pictures over the past few years on the computer screen.
This kind of stuff, I mean, is there a risk in somebody getting the wrong kind of advice, taking this stuff?
Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing for kids, for parents to be using, or is there a good side to it?
Too seriously, do you think?
Well, we spend, as I said, we spend about a third of our time ensuring that the information that goes in there is accurate. Our programs won't run unless it's got reliable, valid, and accurate information. And the reason for that is just to minimize those kinds of risks.
And how about Hall and Oates?
You know, a lot of people...
Maybe oats.
Well, when they hear computer, they say there might be a danger. I have 4 kids, and I've had 4 copies of Dr. Spock. Dr. Spock started out with saying that you should demand feed a child, then he said you should schedule feed, and then you should breastfeed, you should bottle feed. Advice throughout the ages, all of us have gone to bookstores and have read because we need this kind of thing. Is there a danger? I don't know. We try and do the best we can. We think because we use an interactive mode and we go to the research and we try and tailor it down to the situation, we make it better than giving the kind of generic advice that you can give with the Gutenberg methodology, which is one general statement that applies to everybody. So I don't see a danger, I see an improvement.
What do the professionals in your field feel about this? Do you think that this is a threat of some sort?
I think it's mixed. I think the whole issue with expert systems and AI is once you develop a system that in some way mimics an expert, he starts to get threatened. You and I are the same way, and so I think they're going to say that, and I think they're controversial. No
Gentlemen, we're out of time. Thank you very much.
Lovely.
Some psychological software is being used in conjunction with other therapeutic techniques like biofeedback. Wendy Woods has a report on that.
This may look like a video game. It is, in a way, but I'm not using a joystick. Instead, a headband with tiny sensors is connected to my head, with which I'm trying to control the action on the screen. This is the office of Dr. George Fuller von Bose, a psychologist.
What the fuck is going on in this gaff? Lovely slice of ham. Thank you very much, Zeebs23. They sit you down in one of those egg chairs, hollowed out egg chairs, and attach a load of fucking cables to you and charge you a load of money for it, maybe.
Screen. This is the office of Dr. George Fuller von Bose.
George Fuller von Boseg. The egg's boson himself.
A psychologist who uses a simple Commodore 64 computer equipped with an interface box and...
Interface box? This is like Pat's fucking ionizer box inside the Pat's magic box. Inside that fucking fallout shelter. the neutron hatch. Pat's amazing Technicolor neutron hatch. The Pat Box 5000. I bet he has a pet weasel. Look at that. What the fuck? What's the readings being given through a Commodore 64 like? I don't think it's gonna be that good. You know, I think the technology at the time, at the cutting edge of this sort of stuff, that was probably being used in hospitals and whatnot, didn't run on a Commodore.
Special software as one of the tools in his biofeedback work.
The new computerized biofeedback software.
Dr. G.F. von Bose. Fuck me. Biofeedback Institute. This is Gustav Friedman von Bose. That's a fucking name and a half. Just want to hear what the first name was again, sorry.
I'm trying to control the action on the screen. This is the office of Dr. George Fuller von Bose, a psychologist who uses a simple Commodore...
Who does she look like?
Of Dr. George Fuller von Bose, a psychologist who uses a simple...
John McEnroe.
Commodore 64 computer. His
is now developed in such a way that it can be used with most people with psychophysiologic disorders. One of the ways that it can be used is to have the person learn by watching the video screen where their heart rate, their blood pressure, their brain waves or muscle tension is, and being able to vary the meters as seen on the screen or the various motivational graphics that's on the screen.
In this program, the patient tries to lower the balloon on the screen by relaxing. This, by the way, is called Relax, and it's from Synapse Software. The program also includes a kaleidoscope, which increases in complexity and beauty as the patient becomes more at ease.
Tomas O'Schlug, thank you very much.
And the Relax graph.
The Relax graph. Fucking hell. This thing was...
And beauty as the patient becomes more at ease. Scope, and it's from...
When I first saw this, I thought, oh, it's going to be another thing where they're fucking psychologically... It's for, I don't know, parents and kids or something, but this is for grown adults. They actually had grown adults set inside a hollowed out egg and strap wires to them and then made them look at this. No wonder that was her reaction when she was in the chair. That was the reaction.
By watching the video screen, being
by the way, a kaleidoscope, which increases in complexity and beauty as the patient becomes more at ease. And the Relax graph, which more scientifically shows a patient's progress. Still another program at the doctor's disposal enables
Mental.
him to monitor
Absolutely mental
a variety
stuff.
of body functions visible on the screen.
the real key in biofeedback.
There's a lot of fucking snake oil being sold back in this optimistic era of the computer as well, you know?
Feedback is the learning process, not the machine. So the more the machine distracts the person from their learning procedure, the less learning takes place.
How well does it work? Well,
There was
Dr.
a lot of snake oil. There was money to be made, you know?
Progress. And as
Your
for
man saw he probably had sons, and it was like, they had a computer, a Commodore 64, and he was like, there's a way I can just leverage this computer stuff, and I've got a PhD, and there's people out there that want to fucking pay a lot of money for this sort of stuff, and let's just do this. And he came up with the psych graph, that fucking kaleidoscopic weird trip out image, the sun face, and then he charged people an arm and a leg just to sit in a hollowed out egg. The hollowed out egg was a big part of it, like, you know? When people saw that they were going to sit in that, they were like, yes, this was worth the $250.
me, well, I look pretty relaxed, don't I? For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Wendy Woods.
Hope she's okay. Hope she came back all right from that. Ivan and Steph, thank you very, very much for your tip. Very kind of you. What the fuck was that there? Look. Keep your eye on the right-hand side of the screen here. Maybe Stu said something, but it elicited a very strange body movement from your man.
Just get me in fast. Now,
Watch this here. Thank you very much, sir. Get tickled. Chief Iron's diary, day 5. I found the Spencer Manor security guard strapped into the egg chair watching the Relax graph again. I hope there are no further incidents at the lab. Thank you very much. What did Stu say there? And listen, if we repeat it a few times with the music, it fits. It's in sync. You can even see Stu is a bit kind of embarrassed because he knows that they're back on camera. So I think Stu moves his hand over to him to as if to say, knock it off now, we're back on, we're back on. Is this Psycho? I was talking so much shite, I missed that the next section is called Psycho Spreadsheet. Maybe this fella coming up is a psycho for spreadsheets. He loves spreading sheets, that buck. Get Stu as well. Stu's laughing as well. I bet they were saying some fucking dodgy shite.
I'm Wendy Woods.
Joining us now in the studio are Dr. Roger Gould, a psychiatrist.
Roger Gould. I thought he said Gould.
President of Interactive Health Systems. And also with us is Dr. Bernie Zilbergeld, a psychiatrist.
It gets better. It gets even fucking better.
And the president of Interactive Health. Joining us now in the studio are Dr. Roger Gould, a psychiatrist and the president of Interactive Health Systems. And also with us is Dr. Bernie Zilbergeld, a psychiatrist.
Football Italia, thank you very much.
Joining us now
Gould and Zilbergeld are after you.
in the studio are Dr. Roger Gould, a psychiatrist and the president of Interactive Health Systems. And also with us is Dr. Bernie Zilbergeld, a psychologist and author and a sometime critic of the use of computers in therapy. Gary?
Bernie, we've seen several examples of programs here that are used in a role that might be considered traditionally a therapist role. Is there danger in that?
I think there's quite a few possible dangers. First of all, let's differentiate. The first demonstration we saw, the mind over minors, I think there's a lot of dangers. Basically, I feel it's a toy. There's really nothing scientific behind it at all. I have no idea why somebody would pay $50 for a program like that rather than going out and spending $3 or $4 for a paperback with the same information. I don't know what you do with stuff like that. I think if parents view that as a gimmick, a toy, something to play with, see what's...
Do you say in there, no George Jimmy, do you reckon Israel is a silent back of Computer Chronicles? I think there was episodes called High Tech Israel. We might have watched one. There might even be another one unwatched, where Stu went to Israel to see all the emerging tech. Probably
going on in the
hand
world.
in glove
Fine.
with the States.
What I'm
anyway,
afraid
you know?
is some people might take it real seriously because, after all, it's on the box from which truth emanates. I think that's dangerous. On the other hand, Dr. Gardner's, basically what he has is a database for diagnostics and treatment. I think that has some interesting possibilities. We don't know. We won't know until it's tested. But certainly he has a lot of variables in there, and more than any therapist or any group of therapists could keep in mind at any time. I'd like to see some research on how good it is.
Roger, you have a system which is used in a slightly different setting in group therapy, and maybe you could set up for us the scenario in which you would use this particular system.
Sure. Most people come to a therapist for short-term work because they have some problem. They might also have some symptoms, but the symptoms are secondary to a problem. And it's easy to identify what a problem is. A problem is that when you're in some state of dissatisfaction and you're not sure what the right thing to do is, so you don't act. Once you're sure what the right thing to do is and you act upon it, then you dissolve the problem.
No.
So we have a program that's organized so that you can take any problem and begin to ask the question, what might I do better or different? And is that the right thing for me to do? And when you answer, is the right thing for me to do, there's two levels. One is that the right choice. Do I really want to do that? Is that good for me to do? And the second is it right for me psychologically? That is, given my past learning, can I afford to change my behavior in a new and novel way?
Okay, what's the therapeutic setting for how you would use this?
A person comes into either a mental health clinic or a psychiatrist or a psychologist's office, or people are referred to in the plan that's used right now as part of a wellness program in which they identify some problems in living they want to help sort out. In the room will be 10 computers, 1 therapist, and 10...
Duncan says this guy is a ball of seething anger. I kind of get the feeling that he is a very serious man as well.
In the room will be 10 computers, 1 therapist, and 10 patients. They will start out by saying, there'll be an introduction, the computer will begin to then ask them some questions. Each will have their own computer. And basically, what's going on in your life that brought you here? And then from there, they begin to prioritize down, they get a worksheet, and end up with a very specific dissatisfaction in their particular life situation.
Okay, you've got your program up here. Show us a couple of the screens that the patient might use.
Sure. Once the person has, this is about an hour into the program, it's a 2-hour session for the first session, there's 5 of them. Once he has that, the next question that comes up is, what can you do differently than you're doing right now that might address this problem in a way that's satisfactory? And we've skipped a number of menus. The first one had to do with the first category, is that you can express yourself differently. So if it's a personal problem with another person, it asks you, what is it that you need to express, what feelings, who's the particular person, your name, that person's name, and it's all confidential.
Okay, what are the choices here?
Then you get into a second kind of behavior that you can do, which is, in any kind of problem, you can discipline yourself to act differently to relieve the stress. So for instance, this is called the daily demands. And it asks you, if you were to be on time with your appointments and your commitments, would it solve the specific problem that you're working on? Would it address it, alleviate it? Would you do more, if you did more for people in your life, like your children or your spouse or your parents, would that help?
Okay,
Choose all the items below which would help reduce the pain
multiple
of
choice
life.
here to pick which of these
I'd like
things
to.
might be the problem I'm trying to address.
That's right.
And I answer that, and then where do I go from there?
You answer that.
So this is a therapist program. Instead of going to a therapist and you
then we
choose
get
the
into
answer,
the next
I'd like to spend more
category.
time with my family and kids.
The next category is, how
Making your life more meaningful.
can you use your time and energy differently that's more meaningful to you? Because a lot of times people have problems because they aren't using themselves well in their life or in their work situation.
Okay, Roger, when you get all these questions answered and get all the data together, what's actually done with that material you've collected?
The program continues to guide a person's thinking processes. There's no prescription, there's no evaluation, and we help people then sort through, is this the right thing for me to do or
So
not?
some choices are given as alternatives of what you can do to solve the problem at that point, and you
Well,
select those.
these are the choices. We call it provisional action steps. The person becomes
It's also
makes it much
funny
more
that Stu and Gary are involved in talking about psychology now and people's mind state, but they're all about the computer. They're all about the tech. They're all about the cool things, the new emerging computer stuff and chips. But they're now talking about people's feelings and stuff.
The people who came in who were stuck in terms of they could not act in a way to resolve their problem, by the time the 5th week is over, have acted and have come to a kind of new perspective on themselves as developing
And you think
adults.
that this is something that would have been very difficult to achieve if you'd not had to, or
Well,
at least a lot more work?
All the therapists, including myself, who use alternate methods and have used alternate methods, compare this method, what we've done before, and this is much more effective and it's much more useful for the patient because they end up with hard copy, they end up owning new skills, the therapist is much less important, and a whole sense of greater self-esteem and problem solving.
Bernie, what do you think about this?
Actually,
I'm glad that he cut over to this fella now, because that lad was he seemed to lack compassion. This fella was very aloof, and I don't like the way he's just in the studio with Stu and Gary, and he's being this way. You know, you need to have a bit of charm. You need to have. He hasn't moved. His head is being tilted as well for fucking 5 minutes.
What do you think about this?
Actually, this sounds interesting. However, I'm sorry, Roger, but
We might see a bit of a fucking tete-a-tete here between Bernie Zilbergeld and the Ghoulmeister himself.
the outcome really has to be taken with a grain of salt. You can find any therapist from any school of any sort who say the same thing. The real proof, and Roger knows this, is in comparative outcome studies. And he just told me before that there's some money available and he's going to be involved. And I would even...
He doesn't like it. He doesn't like being slighted. You see that look?
And he just told me...
Bernie Zilbergeld is laying down a contrarian's position.
Before that there's some money...
Is all I can gather. I don't think it's a full-on attack on the Ghoulmeister, but we can see this Look at the fucking that. Look at that. The way he's looking at him. Pure contempt. You can tell from just the body language of someone that you know, they might not have. They might not be all there in terms of a fully rounded, receptive human. Do you know? Yet he's in the business. I mean, obviously, this is all fucking me just making this up. But I mean, it's not coming out of nowhere. But he's in the business of being a psychologist, I imagine. Do you know? But maybe he's just too fucking up his own hole. I'm not sure.
Be involved, and
Look
I would
at
even
that. Doesn't like it at all.
Go further than that, because the same holds true of all these programs. The real research will have to be done by somebody else, and we will not have good answers for at least several years down the road. I think it's real important with all these programs that somebody, you know, it's easy to say we need more research and everybody says it. Not many people do it. Because otherwise you just have a lot of wild claims. Some people say computers will lower prices. I can see a lot of ways where they're going to raise prices.
The price of therapy.
You say, and you can tell when someone is not enjoying it. When someone does that with their mouth like this. He's fucking eating his lips at that point. His lips are between his dentures, his teeth.
Computers will lower prices. I can see a lot of ways where they're going to raise prices.
The price of therapy.
The price of anything that involves the computers. Computers are not that cheap, especially when you're buying lots of them.
But what is your feeling in terms of really helping out a therapist? If we could have the really good expert systems, if they evolved a good expert system, would that be a real help to the therapist himself?
I think what Roger's program is doing, as I understand it, is trying to automate take some of the work away from the therapist that a computer can do. And nothing he said so far, you know, turns me off or makes me really worried. However, you know, there's those placards that say, you know, to err is human, to really screw things up, you need a computer. I think we would do well. This is not talking directly to Roger, but to keep that in mind. This is not more scientific or objective or efficient or anything. It's just a box with stuff we put in it.
Just a box.
Sometimes it's helpful. I think this holds some promise. I think
just a box.
Dr. Gould holds some promise. But we got to be careful.
I think.
Okay. Real quick, Roger.
Okay. I think,
he's going to have one more. He has to get a final fucking salvo in.
And the important thing is the stuff you put in it. And we're sitting here, and this is what's been put in here represents about 80 years of clinical experience by 3 professors of psychiatry who are also psychoanalysts. So it's as good as can be.
Well, he cracked a smile anyway. Fucking hell.
Got to call an end to it.
Oh, brilliant. Love it when Stu... This is just one of those moments when you really want Stu to do it. And it was at that moment that the Ghoulmeister knew... Even though it was too late, you showed warmth too late. In injury time, you should have fucking smiled 10 minutes ago, and we would have maybe been on your side. But you displayed a detachment and a sense of self that was aloof. And unfortunately, Ghoul, Stu blew the whistle on your bullshit.
Psychiatry who are also psychoanalysts. So it's as good as
he was about to fucking try and curry favor by, and he was also, I think from what I can hear there, I think he was also trying to just, I don't know, go on about in a pompous way about how we're all psychoanalysts and psychiatrists, aren't we, or something like that. He's probably being paid fucking truckloads.
And we're sitting here, and this is what's been put in here represents about 80 years of clinical experience by 3 professors of psychiatry who are also psychoanalysts. So it's as good as can be.
I've got to call an end to it. Well, we've seen
lovely stuff. He thought he got it in, but you lost.
In another area today in which computers seem to be making an important contribution, yet some are concerned that computers are moving into uniquely human territory. We asked our commentator George Morrow for some final thoughts.
Georgie Morrow, boy.
Boy, I sure.
Beautiful. We've seen George Morrow on episodes where Gary Kildall was off sick or doing stuff, and now it seems as though he was the Schindler before Schindler. So Schindler used to have his own little section. What we can see, and what I believe I'm seeing here, is Morrow with his own section in the show. The Morrow section.
I'm glad for the
commentator George Morrow for some final thoughts.
Boy, I sure am glad for the therapy of this camera and all you people listening out there, because I built up a lot of hostility over the flagrant abuse of this word expert. It's bad enough from programmers. Common sense is not a vital trait for these people. But it's really stressful to have the word mangled by psychologists. You expect someone who understands human behavior to have a lot of common sense. Well, what is an expert? Someone or thing who understands a discipline so well that responses are automatic and based on patterns rather than rules. Experts know that rules must be broken some of the time. When? Knowing that answer is the difference between being expert and competent. Now, our present understanding of how the human mind works is so limited that there's no basis for anyone to claim to be a genuine expert in this area. Therapy wouldn't be the hitter.
What even the fuck is he on about? Like, we haven't seen any... Thought it was going to pan out to show him on a computer or something. This is just a George... One shot of George... Head and shoulders talking George.
This thing it is otherwise. The bottom line, then, is that computers should be able to do as good a job as humans in some
And then a
areas of
zoom
therapy.
in.
After all, successful therapy results in a patient discovering how to solve his own problems. That's how I see it. I'm George Morrow.
Unbelievable. Absolute babble from George Morrow there. And I wonder what when did Schindler come into the fold? Schindler really brought a fucking air of gravitas and class to his little bits, you know? I don't know what his piece was called. I think he just had it was just like an over to you. Now here's Paul Schindler with his thought for the week. But I mean, Schindler fucking had all the whistles and bells. He had the facial expressions. He injected a little bit of comedy into it, you know, bit of pathos.
In the random access file this week, a new research study from Sweden reports that radiation from video display terminals caused birth defects in the fetuses of laboratory mice. The research was conducted by the Swedish Occupational Safety Administration. One researcher cautioned that one cannot necessarily draw conclusions for humans based on experiments with mice, but he said we can no longer rule out the possibility that radiation from computer VDTs could harm fetuses. Commodore got a new lease on life this week, though it was a short-term lease. Commodore's bankers extended their current loan deadline one more month to give Commodore executives time to come up with a payback plan. Commodore owes the banks nearly $200 million. A Commodore spokesman said Amiga sales in the fourth quarter should give Commodore its second-best quarter in history.
Was that Amiga sales or meager sales? Two different thing. Hanleyman, thank you very much for the tip there.
K-Pro has announced it's eliminating several of its models in an attempt to return to profitability. Discontinued are the K-Pro 1 and the K-Pro 10, which ran CPM, and two versions of the 286i. The company said it's adding a new hard disk version of the K-Pro PC, which will come with a 20-megabyte drive and sell for $18.95. In our legislative update file, the Senate Judiciary Committee is hearing testimony on a bill that would make the FBI's National Crime Computer accessible to college campus police departments. The ACLU is arguing against the bill, saying 5% of the records in the FBI's computer contain erroneous information. The ACLU says that has led to false arrests
Swish-looking terminal there.
and detention of innocent people. Several computer
detention of innocent people. Several people.
Experts this week warned that the major detention of innocent people. Several computer experts this week warned that the major problem in computer security is not with outside hackers, but with corporate insiders.
Nintendo Game Boy
executive said that despite the publicity given to hackers, only 5 to 10% of computer crime is committed by hackers. The rest of it is the result of careless internal security. The IRS says their upgraded computer system is working just fine so far. The latest report card shows the feds have processed 4 times as many refunds as they had by this time last year. Paul Schindler's up next with this week's software review.
The people's car. Simple to use, dependable. I have to assume that's why the people at Lifetree Software paid
Heavy on the makeup there. They've really gone to town with the fucking... whatever you call that, blusher or foundation or whatever the fuck. It's too much.
homage to an automobile when they named their...
But look at Schindler's face even. I mean, Morrow was moribund. George Moribund is what they should call him. But Schindler, look at the way his face pops when he says certain words and stuff. It's fucking insane. Like, it's just another level like this. Boom. Boom. Wow.
Where paid homage to an automobile
automobile there. It's intense. It's a real trip. Schindler is a fucking trip. And you don't know whether or not you're going to come back. And you'd think, if you are going to come back, am I going to be the same person again? I don't think I've ever been the same person, you know, before going into a Schindler VT as I was coming out of a Schindler VT. And that's his way. That's just the way he does business, you know?
That's why the people at Lifetree Software paid homage to an automobile when they named their word processor Volkswagen. Now, I admit, we reviewed this one a few years ago, but version 3 is so improved, I can't resist taking another look. There are a lot of new features in 3.0, and they don't cost you anything extra. The price stayed the same. The biggest change is an addition called the Style Sheet. You set one of these up, and it automatically applies to every document of a certain type. All letters, for example, or all memos. There's also a built-in spelling checker with a 170,000-word dictionary. You can use it to check a document while writing, or go back and check it in batch mode later. Best of all, even with all the new features, Volkswagen 3 is as fast or faster than previous versions. Basically, Volkswagen was good before because of how easy it was to get words into it. Now, with version 3, it's a lot easier to get words out of it, looking just the way you want. This word processor costs $300 from Lifetree Software in Monterey, California.
A big smile at the end, usually a kind of haunting smile.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
That was okay. The Soviets have invaded. The Soviet Union may potentially invade one day. That's why Sun Microsystems have developed a brand new Soviet tracker.
It's TASS news agency. Force the way you want. This word processor costs $300 from Lifetree Software in Monterey, California. For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Paul Schindler.
I've seen heavier Schindler outros that are really fucking hard. Like, some of them are insane, but that's all right. That's not bad at all, you know. Glyn, thank you very much for the tip there.
The Soviets' TASS news agency has announced that its English language service will soon go online. You can access the Russian newswire via Reuters or the Canadian Press Service on CompuServe. Finally, the MBA Super Bowl was held last weekend. 3 teams of MBA students at Stanford, Harvard, and the University of Pennsylvania all played the Wizard of Wall Street, a stock market simulation game, to see which team of MBAs could make the most money. No results yet, but the winning team will get a real cash prize of $1,000. That's it for this week's Chronicles. We'll see you next time.
This week's Chronicles.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by a grant from AFIPS, the American Federation of Information Processing Societies. AFIPS, sponsors of OAC 86, the nation's leading conference on business technology. For conference information, call 800 OAC.
I haven't heard this audio bed. This dun dun dun. It's a different vibe, but OAC 86 sounds like it was a fucking hoot.
Conference on AFIPS, sponsors of OAC 86, the nation's leading conference on business technology. For conference information, call 800 OAC 1986. Exploring today's business solutions. Additional funding is provided by McGraw-Hill, publishers of Byte. Byte's detailed technical articles on new hardware, software, and languages cover the latest in microcomputer technology worldwide. Byte,
another
the
level.
international standard.
Oh, brilliant still. That was your man, look, Dr. Van Bozzer, or whatever his fucking name was. Sticking the John McEnroe head band and wig on your one. Inside the Egg with Bazé. Lovely fucking C64 shot. Why are they just using the shots from that VT? Situation box. Dr. Bazé's crazy situation box peripheral. Smiling sun. Yes. Lovely, lovely stuff. A great episode. You know, I'm really getting into these early seasons. I didn't think I was ever going to be fucking bothered about them, you know? I was worried that it was just going to be the later series or season, whatever way you want to say it, because of the pace and tonality of it, like, you know? But, you know, you give it a bit of time, it's got some stuff in it. There's usually some good nuggets, and it's interesting to see some of the weird shit that was going on, like Dr. Buzzé's egg job there. Crazy Dr. Eggman's fucking Commodore 64 psycho box. And that psychotherapist or psychiatrist that was aloof as well, the Ghoul Master himself, that was just a nice character study of someone who was failing to generate empathy with tone, body language, and whatnot, and words. But just to finish the situation, I think it could be a great palate cleanser just to net cafe it up and look at this fantastic stuff. Haven't really taken the only thing is we haven't ticked off any of these episodes. I'm not particularly too sure. Possibly the CHRONS Tracker 5000 may have more intel on what Netcafe episodes have been seen.
Twisted!
I mean, there's already a few that have been marked. So I'm going to have to really maybe look at these and then transfer over to Dara's site as well.
I'm Stuart Chaffee.
Twisted!
96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. Is the site public? It is, Gary. Yeah, this is the CHRONS Tracker 5000, made by Sam Lee. And the other one is the Viper Chronicles, made by Dara. And I've been checking the list on these ones, you know. Every time we watch or an episode is done, I'll just check it off here. But I haven't kept up with the CHRONS Tracker, but I think Sam has fucking put it in. He let me know there that I can log in and mark them off, so I will do it in time. I always fucking forget about it. Jamesy, thank you very much, man, for the tip. Very kind of you. Yeah, so I don't know, fucking 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000. I'm surprised that they got, what was it, 6, 7 years? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of Netcafe. It's mad. And the over 20 years of the CHRONS.
I'm Stuart Chaffee.
19 series.
Twisted!
Yes, I don't know. Women on the web, the 3D web, music, movies, writers, electronic communities, weird science. I just get the feeling that that has been seen. And it hasn't been marked off. Quick delve into it.
Delve away, boys!
Gonna turn this
at
up.
The Internet Cafe, Weird Science on the Web. This is the homepage for the Annals of Improbable Research, where you can find out about the weirdest experiments. This man is a rocket scientist who likes to drive fast, like 700
I like to drive fast.
miles an hour. This
How many miles an hour? I just need to see those pictures. The images were obscured because I was trying to turn the decibels up on the audio here for Internet Cafe. Charlie Hee-haw, thank you very much.
The Internet Cafe, Weird Science on the Web. This is the homepage for the Annals of Improbable Research, where you can find out about the weirdest experiments. This man is a rocket scientist who likes to drive fast, like 700 miles an hour. He wants to help set the world land speed record. Always wanted to be a gardener but didn't have a garden? Check out the Telegarden, a virtual communal garden on the web. Plus weird science software for you. Program X, a database of strange fringe science, and a clip from young...
Strange fringe science? You notice Stu's cadence and delivery and intonation. He's a different animal. He's an animal at this stage. He's stopped playing safe ball. He stopped being nice. No more Mr. Nice Stu. He was, you know, a beast at this stage.
Frankenstein, coming to you in our Cyber Blast. Weird
Cyber Blast.
Science on the web. This week at the
Frankenstein at our Cyber Blast.
Internet Cafe. The Internet Cafe is made possible in part by Intel. One innovative idea always leads to another. Now there are connected CD-ROMs that link rich multimedia with related information on the Internet. Connected CD-ROMs, it's the Intel Pentium processor.
Boom, 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 boom. What an iconic sound signature for the brand of Intel that was. For just brands in general, it really was. It ruled the roost in terms of auditory sound signifiers for brands. It's up there with Danone, but it definitely shat all over Danone.
Intel Pentium processor.
And where are they now? Intel are not anywhere now because the you know, other fucking processors are kicking their ass.
Hi, and welcome to the Internet Cafe. I'm Stuart Chaffee here with Jane Wither, Andrew DeVries. We're at Cybersmith in Palo Alto, California, a cyber cafe. Here.
Sorry for fucking stopping it again, but I just want to again reiterate how sad I am that I'll never get to be in Cybersmith, the cafe, the Internet Cafe in the late 90s in Palo Alto, California, the hotbed, the fucking hub. You know, the ground zero of where all this shit was going on. And you'd see people like this fella just hanging out, having a coffee, browsing the web, scrolling the wheel. Yahoo, Hotmail, MSN, all the big players.
Here in the heart of the Silicon Valley, and we're talking about
soft seats, creamy cappuccinos.
Weird science on the web today.
It probably got like Jenga and fucking magazines as well, even if you didn't want to just go on the computer. Ask Jeeves, Alta Vista, Netscape, Lycos, remember the dog?
Did you do weird stuff as a
personalized mouse pads? We've seen it. There was an episode where Stu got his face on the mouse pad. Just talking about it the other day. Chairman Stu, Chairman mouse pad. AOL.
Yeah, so I had a collection of dolls that went on scientific
I don't mean those kinds of experiments.
Andrew had a collection of dolls.
I had a weird science on the California, a cyber cafe. Here in the heart of the Silicon
Cyber
Valley,
cafe.
we're talking about weird science on the web today. Did you do weird stuff as a kid?
Did you do weird stuff as a kid? I need to piss. I'll just leave it playing, but I'm going to have to repeat it again in 30 seconds. But I like the way Stu says, weird things on the web. Did you do weird stuff as a kid?
Part of the Silicon Valley, and we're talking about weird science on the web today. Did you do weird stuff as a kid?
Yeah. We get to see the trademark Stu maneuver. It's just everything. Look at Andrew's leather jacket as well. It's probably hot in there.
I had a collection of dolls that went on scientific
I don't mean those kinds of experiments.
No, I had a Planet of the Apes dolls, and Evel Knievel was a really huge doll, and we did these G-force experiments. We'd crank this thing up and shoot it off as fast as it would go, and we'd try to shoot it through people's windows. So
did you succeed?
We did, and I
broke
got in
a
some
couple
trouble,
of windows?
and yes, and that was a whole other story.
Now, were you a very good little girl and you didn't do any of this bad stuff?
Well, on the topic of the dolls, actually, no.
That's the Valley of the Dolls,
well,
not the topic.
Yeah, exactly.
That was your area of
experimentation.
experimentation. Well, I did a lot of this stuff. I was really into science, had the chemistry sets and stuff. You know, it said if you mix the yellow powder with the red powder, you get a lot of smoke. Well, I mixed a lot of yellow powder and a lot of red powder, got a lot of smoke and flames, and almost burned down my parents' house. So I've had a lot of experience in weird science. Today we're going to take a look at what you can find out on the web about weird science experiments. This week, here at...
What did I miss? The cringe, twisted. Sorry, I just need to... I just heard... All I heard was him saying, I used to have some dolls, and that's when I left it.
On the web today. Did you do weird stuff as a kid? Strange
yeah,
experiments?
I had a collection of dolls that went on scientific
I don't mean those kinds of experiments.
No, I had a Planet of the Apes dolls, and Evel Knievel was a really huge doll, and we did these G-force experiments. We'd crank this thing up and shoot it off as fast as it would go, and we'd try to shoot it through people's windows. So
did you succeed?
We did, and I got in
broke a
some
couple of
trouble,
windows?
and yes, and that was a...
Look at the size of Stu. That desk. That table. This is his table.
Windows. So
did you succeed?
We did, and I got in
Broke a
some
couple of
trouble,
windows?
and yes, and that was a whole other story.
Now, were you a very good little girl and you didn't do any of this bad stuff?
Well, on the topic of the dolls, actually, no.
That's the Valley of the Dolls,
well,
not the topic.
Yeah, exactly.
That was your area of experimentation.
Really want to talk about it, yeah.
Well, I did a lot of this stuff. I was really into science. Had the
what happened there?
Sets and stuff. You know, it said if you mix the yellow powder with the red powder, you get a lot of smoke. Well, I mixed a lot of yellow powder, a lot of red powder, a lot of smoke, and flames. And almost burned down my parents' house. So I've had a lot of experiments.
And flames. Almost burned down my parents' house.
Mix the yellow powder with the red powder, you get a lot of smoke. Well, I mixed a lot of yellow powder and a lot of red powder, got a lot of smoke and flames, and almost burned down my parents' house. So I've had a lot of experience in weird science. Today we're going to take a look at what you can find out on the web about weird science experiments this week here at the Internet Cafe.
So, Amy, you...
Iconic transition. Look at that.
So, Amy, you are a researcher at Stanford University, and you're also the webmaster for the Annals of...
Apologies there. Is from what I can hear, because I haven't got the headphones on, the sound sounds like it's coming through a long toilet roll thing. You know, tube. Is it passable? Is it passable? Yeah. Okay. Only I mean, it's probably only the hardcore that are left at the end of this, or for this stream anyway. So it's, you know what you're getting here. We know what we're here for, and we can look past that. We can power through that.
Research. Yes, I was up on the site and I looked at it. It's very interesting. It's very hilarious. It seems to me like there's a lot of real science going on mixed with some real comedy, real humor. What's the site all about?
The site mixes real science and real humor. About 30% of the things we publish are actual, honest-to-God happenings and research.
So things that people are really doing experiments, breaking it down.
Hot air.
We don't know which 30%.
And it blends together.
Totally.
So what are some of the bizarre kind of experiments that you can find on there?
Some of our most interesting experiments are in a site, in a group called Shareware, which is things that have been sent in by our readers, not things that are by our
people can submit. You don't have to be a scientist to put information up here.
If you have a good idea and a good piece of research and an interesting...
Launching stuff with liquid nitrogen, dry ice bombs, and surgical tubing slingshots.
We might actually put it on.
The spam cam, we can see what he's already clicked on. They've clicked on the spam cam, which may be unavailable, and then the Darwin Awards.
On the site.
Thank you very much, Kaylee, for the tip there and there. Just as I say thank you for the tip to Kaylee. The spam cam page is there, and it looks like there's some egg pudding and beans or something on a plate there. I don't know. Unless it's different types of spam.
Personal favorite is something called the spam cam.
Spam cam?
Yeah.
Kind of like David Letterman has the monkey cam. What does the spam cam do?
The spam cam is showing a progressive deterioration of various food items, including cans of spam, but also for Thanksgiving turkey and cranberry sauce.
So that's
weird internet.
A fancy way of saying that things are rotting and you're watching it happen
really rotting.
in real time.
Yeah.
Now, I was up on the site and I saw some other really crazy things. I saw a research experiment on the effects of photos of bearded men on cats. What's that all about?
The bearded men experiment.
Yes.
Well, somebody did a research piece on how cats react to bearded men.
Now, did they really show photos of bearded men to cats?
We have a 30% chance that it'll actually happen. We don't know.
Stu in background, thank you very much, of the first shot of this interview, eating some food. 4:14 we're at. Just remember the time. Thank you. How did you notice that? Thank you very much for the tip there, Stu After Dark. He's eating. He's got a fork. He's got a fork.
So, Amy, you are a researcher at Stanford University, and you are also the webmaster for the Annals of Improbable Research.
Yes,
I was up on the site, and I looked at it. It's very interesting. It's very hilarious. It seems to me like there's a lot of real science going on mixed with some real comedy, real humor. What's the site all about?
The site mixes real science and real humor.
It's of improbable, very hilarious. A real natural. The cats that were exposed to the Robert Bork photos actually became paralyzed.
Again,
you don't know.
We would have to trust their findings.
Well, okay, now one thing I noticed on the site is it does seem like you do have this comedy and you have real experiments. You have real scientists who are involved in this. Who are some of the people that are actually involved in this?
With Air the Journal, as opposed to Air the website,
okay.
There are 4 real Nobel, not Ig Nobel, but real Nobel laureates on the board of directors.
Excellent. So those are folks who are providing some kind of direction.
Some kind of direction, yes. We do something called the Ig Nobel Prizes every year. And
what does Ig stand for?
I think not in this case.
Not like Ig Nobel.
Ig Nobel. Ig Nobel Prizes honor people whose experiments cannot or should not be reproduced.
And what are some of those? I think I've seen some of them, but what are some of the winners from last year that you thought were interesting?
This past year, the prize for, the prize for public health went to a pair of researchers that tracked the transmission of gonorrhea through an inflatable doll, and that was published in a medical journal.
In a medical journal?
In a real,
so that was a real study?
That was a real study,
That's
yes.
amazing. I won't even go into the details. That sounds kind of scary.
One of the other winners, which can be found under shareware on our site, on the website, tracked or looked at the effects of kale, garlic, and sour cream on the appetite of leeches.
Leeches?
Leeches,
oh.
And that got the prize for biology.
Wow, these are really appetizing subjects all the way around.
But it gets better, though.
Fucking George Goebel, man. Indiana Eunuchs and the Last Crusade.
And the Ig Nobel Prize for Chemistry was won by a guy named George Goebel for an incendiary treatise on the lighting of...
Some crazy stuff. George Goebel out in the garden with incendiary balloons and bombs, hobbies and other interests, cooking hamburgers and lighting the grill. But look at what he's doing.
Goebel.
He's got a fucking a large
incendiary treatise on the
gas
lighting
tank
of
there.
a barbecue grill. He used liquid oxygen.
Or
to
liquid
just
oxygen.
burn the thing, to light it. That's a good way to sort of cook your family at the same time.
He claims
Goebel's
that
gone fucking lula.
one liquid oxygen-soaked charcoal briquette.
I hope he lived. I hope he was okay after all this, wherever he was doing.
Has the
Goebel.
power of 1 stick of dynamite.
Oh, so this is not something you should try at home.
Not something you should try at home, but you can download the MPEG through our website.
And see it. Well, that's excellent. Great. We'll have folks go there. Thank you.
Fucking, that was a bad one, you know. I'm hoping for some gold, you know, along the lines of the lads who made a video game about a cockroach and then finding out about a brand new game like that that's about 30 or 40 years, well, 30 years old maybe, and playing it. So that's what you want, you know. And Stu to be interviewing the cockroach guys. You want that level.
So Ken, tell me about the Telegarden.
Okay. The Telegarden is a website that allows anyone from around the world to log in and tend to a real living garden. It's set up currently it's in Austria. And the garden consists of a 6-foot diameter planter with 18 inches of soil. And in the center of that is an industrial robot arm. The arm has a camera,
Robot
camera
arm.
at the end, that can move around and look, take snapshots of the garden under web control. And also it allows people in the garden to pick a point and water plants that are there, and also to plant a seed. And planting a seed involves, the robot actually has a little suction cup. It picks up one seed, moves over, and then it digs down, digs a small hole, drops the seed, and covers up the hole with dirt, and then waters it.
Automatically.
I don't know what the fuck they're on about.
Automatic. So then you have to come back, though, the next day and water the seed again, and keep watering it over a period of a week or two until it sprouts, and then you have your plant.
So let me just qualify this again, because I think some people might get confused. This is a real live garden, and the garden exists in Austria.
Right.
And basically, through the internet, I can actually get through the World Wide Web access and become a member of the garden, or the cooperative in this case, and actually become a contributing gardener to the garden.
Right.
So I'm really watering a plant, and I'm really planting that seed. That's pretty exciting. Now, why did you do this?
Well, my research area is in robotics, particular manufacturing type of applications. And when the web came along, we realized that we could take the web a step further. In other words, beyond being able to pick up images and even live.
Thanks, Jackie, for the tip. And Schult, thank you very much.
Okay, so now, what's the experience? I mean, what kind of people would become the gardeners? Now, I know that you do have some rules in terms of how many hits you need to make to that website before you're allowed to have the right to plant a seed. Now, what kind of people are participating, and how many people do you have?
Well, the site has been up about a year and a half now, and we've had 12,000 people register to become members. We estimate probably about 10 times that have come in and looked around in the garden. To become a member takes a couple of steps, and you have to give your password, you have to get a password and share your email address. But we see it as both a science project and an art project, because we're interested in raising some questions about what kind of communities are going to form on the internet.
Okay.
And so, in particular, what kind of community forms around a shared physical resource like a garden? I mean, if you go back 8,000 years, when the first gardens came out, when people first started agriculture, from hunting and gathering.
What the fuck is he on about, man?
I mean,
I know he's on about
years,
gardens and stuff, but Christ. And it's just nice to see, like, mooching around as well, customers mooching, but also maybe even, we won't know because the resolution's so poor, but maybe even looking into the camera as these interviews are going on.
When people first started agriculture, from hunting and gathering, there was a change in the way people interacted. They had to form groups, they had to defend some small territory, and then there was the idea of division of labor, that one person could plant and create enough food for 10.
So there's the economies of scale, I guess.
The economies of scale, and so people could start to diversify and do other things like science and art and things like
So now, what's your experience? You told me a story earlier on about the fact that you did have an aphid infestation in the garden.
Right.
And you had to completely clear out the garden because of it. There's not much you could do. So what was the impact to the gardeners who created that garden?
Well, people were upset. I mean...
I can imagine.
Yeah, we get a lot of complaints that the watering is...
I'm also uncertain about how the colony idea would fly. Perhaps the whole group could organize itself by some volunteering to be waterers, some planters, some troubleshooters, by surveying the garden. Thank you very much, Black Tom, for the tip. By surveying the garden and identifying trouble spots. As far as plant selection goes, if overwatering is a major problem, why don't you consider watercress? It's a non-invasive, small-leaved, and likes wet feet. A bonus would be that you people locally... This is terrible. Grammatically, it makes no sense. A bonus would be that you people locally would have all the watercress salads. The salads are ready to go.
Somebody's been overwatering the garden, or that their seed didn't come up. We also get things like when people say, I'm going on vacation, can someone water my plant while I'm gone?
That's great.
We really get neighborly kind of
So there's
things like that
definitely a
happen.
Community that's been growing,
Oh, definitely.
literally growing up in this whole environment.
Right, and there are very suburban kind of interactions. There's a chat line built in. We call it the Village Square, and people can come there and talk about Well, we just leave it open, and they talk a lot about policies in the garden. It's sort of self-governing.
Self-governing.
But they also talk about their weather, their kids, their own plants back at their own gardens.
That's great. Well, thanks very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Desiree, what I really like about talking to you is when you talk to somebody
Kurt Cobain.
and you try to make the point that it's really not too complicated. You say, well, it's not rocket
From Nirvana.
science. Well, this is rocket science.
Sure.
You are a rocket scientist. I mean, you're working on building a rocket, or I guess a jet, really, to go as fast as possible on the ground. I mean, you're trying to set the world land speed record. What's that involved?
That's right. It's Craig Breedlove's Spirit of America project. I'm his crew chief, and I'm assisting him in his endeavors to take the land speed record back to the United States from the British. Richard Noble has it right now, and ultimately to push his designed rocket jet car through the sound barrier.
And what is the record right now? How fast?
It's around 630 miles an hour.
630 miles an hour. What's the science here? I mean, what's so hard about
Oh, it's just instantaneously when Stu's back on, it's just a real lift.
Rocket jet car through the sound barrier.
And what is the record right now? How fast?
It's around 630 miles an hour.
630 miles an hour. What's the science here? I mean, what's so hard about this? I mean, it's easy to go faster. I take it the problem is staying on the ground and steering the darn thing.
Staying on the ground, steering it, and then the material science involved with moving at higher speeds. The tires are problems. The aerodynamics is our greatest concern, one where as we get closer and closer to the sound barrier, transonic turbulence and then ultimately a shock wave may be forming off the bottom of the car and causing...
Stu is hyper engaged. Thank you very much, heart-shaped
ultimately a shock wave may be forming off the bottom of the car.
Thanks very much for the tip there, heart-shaped
Car.
And Stu is locked in.
Causing, at this point, unknown results.
What about the human factors? I mean, what's it like to be a human being inside this rocket ship that's going at 670 miles an hour?
Well, Craig's very calm at all times. He's calm when he's standing there, and he's calm when he's driving, and it's something he's done all his life, but certainly a lot of stresses on him. It's extremely, a lot of vibrations, a lot of noise, and ultimately, you know, it's
well, the last time
very
you tried to
dangerous.
set the record, things went wrong, right?
Well, yeah, he did a U-turn at 675 miles an hour.
Not intentionally?
Certainly not.
I mean, the thing just got out of control.
Well, as we go faster, we start learning more and more, and what happened was we made a very rapid jump in speed. The highest speed he'd gone previously was around 560, and then we took an increase in speed of 100 miles an hour, and then forces either within the car and external ones, winds and slight winds, and maybe some changes in the aerodynamics are necessary. But yeah, he did a U-turn, and we're making modifications, but it's basically a new...
But he was all right. I mean, he walked away from this thing.
Certainly.
He's going to get back. This guy's 59 years old, right?
Yeah.
And he's doing this stuff. Now, you've got a website, Spirit of America, that explains all this stuff. Tell us what's on the site.
What we have is information about the biography of Craig, his background with his other cars, a lot of information about his past.
You got pictures.
Did this lad survive? This Craig Breedlove? Can't see the name there.
Dynamics are necessary, but yeah, he did a U-turn, and we're making modifications, but it's basically a new...
But he was all right. I mean, he walked away from this thing.
Certainly.
He's going to get back. This guy's 59 years old, right?
Yeah.
59. Craig Breedlove. He walked away from the 600 mile an hour U-turn. Not intentionally. It wasn't an intentional U-turn, but that's what transpired, and he walked away from it.
Basically a new...
But he was all right. I mean, he walked away from this thing.
Certainly.
He's going to get back. This guy's 59 years old, right?
Yeah.
And he's doing this stuff. Now, you've got a website, Spirit of America, that explains all this stuff. Tell us what's on the site.
What we have is information about the biography of Craig, his background with his other cars, a lot of information about his past.
You got pictures of the cars?
Certainly. And the new one, a
have
lot of
some videos, don't you,
specifications.
on there?
Yeah, I think there's some...
Look at the pictures on the
You got pictures of the
homepage.
cars.
pictures on the homepage, I think, were funny. They just had the face of the Statue of Liberty. The new car.
A lot of videos, don't you? Yeah, I think there's some short time movies, and we've got updates about a lot of specifications. Yeah, I think there's some short-time movies, and we've got updates about where the situation is now, rebuilding the car, when we're going to start running it again, and what people can do to find out more.
Great stuff.
The enemy out there, you mentioned briefly, is
start running it again, and what people can do.
It's a great picture. Something about the low quality always kind of gives it a different feel. Like it could be a video game, like, you know, that could be out of a game or something, but it's real. It's a real picture, and that was the yoke that he crashed 600 miles per hour U-turn. Fucking horror show, but he walked away from it.
To find out more.
No, the enemy out there, you mentioned briefly, is this English guy who holds the record. Another country named Richard Noble. He's got his own website. What's his story? How's he different from
he's not rival website?
The enemy, but he's definitely a man we respect, and keeps it competitive. But his website gives him very good, a lot of information about his ongoing efforts. They ran this year
really
in Jordan.
Cool picture of his car in there,
sure.
Which is like
beautiful car.
2 jet engines, right?
Yeah, it's a twin-engine car with a central fuselage where Andy Green is his driver, and they'll be running again this year, I think as early as March.
Now, what is this fascination for you? I mean, you spend your life, you tell me you work 7 days a week, 20 hours a day, just to run a car faster than anybody else. I mean, what intrigues you about this?
Well, when I was very young, Craig was doing this before I was born, but when I was very young, I remember reading the Guinness Book of World Records. I thought this stuff was
Thanks very much, Robert.
Kind of pushed me towards an involvement in science and in aviation, and I really wanted to do something that was generally inspirational. I felt like, you know, there's enough things that are not particularly intellectual in this world that are leading kids today, and I just wanted to do something that would...
So you can be into cars and grease and be a smart guy at the same time.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
And your background's aerospace. I mean, you're really building planes to stick to the ground.
Yeah, I'm a complete automotive idiot. But,
I don't know about that.
My background.
Thanks a lot, David.
Thanks.
Thanks, David.
On tonight's Cyber Blast, we're going to send you 4 files, a game, a database, a utility, and a sound clip. We'll be downloading to you more than 4 megabytes of data in less than 120 seconds. You can actually see the data downloading to your PC right now over here. To get these files this fast through the TV signal, you need an add-on card for your computer called a TV modem. We'll tell you more about that later. You can also download these files through our website using your regular telephone modem. Download time from the net on the phone at 28.8 will be about a half hour. Let me tell you what we're sending you. First of all, we're sending you a very interesting shareware application called Program X. This is an integrated weird science database and analysis program. It includes information on numerology, astrology, ESP, UFOs, etc. It lets you analyze the information you gather in text and graphs. Next up, a program called Biosequences 32. This is a biorhythm calculator program that lets you chart the 3 major biological rhythms of your body, which govern intellectual, physical, and emotional aspects of your life. We're also sending you a cool spacey game called Q-Bob. If you remember the game Q-Bert, this is very similar. This is an arcade action game in which you have to get Q-Bob to jump around from asteroid to asteroid to demolish them before they demolish the Earth. Finally, if you love the Mel Brooks movie Young Frankenstein, we have a classic sound clip from that movie sent to you as a WAV file. Remember, we're sending all 4 files to you right now through the TV signal, over 4 megabytes of data in under 2 minutes, using our Cyber Blast technology. If you need information on how to receive a Cyber Blast or on how to buy or install a TV modem, just check out the Internet Cafe section of our website at pctv.com. So the download is just about complete. Have fun with your new software. That wraps up this Cyber Blast on the Internet Cafe. I'm Laurie Anderson.
So, Ron, you're the webmaster of the Exploratorium, which was one of my favorite places as a kid to go to.
It's my favorite place, too.
You've been there a while, you said.
It's been my favorite place for 25 years.
That's excellent. That's a lot of time. as a kid, I loved to go there. It was a way that I could learn about science and also kind of get wild. We were always confined in school, and they were like, we're going here, you can go get hands.
Hello, Francis. You still there? I'm trying to get inside the house. I've lost the key. Are you still streaming? Oh, yeah, okay. I'll call back in 20 minutes. Get it?
Hands-on, you can touch things that...
Finally, it was a place that said, do touch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about the exploratory origins of...
1969 by Frank Oppenheimer, and he did a survey of how people learn in museums and decided that this participatory method was one that was not being exploited quite a bit at all, really. And so he founded this museum to really get people involved in their own learning.
Excellent. And so what are an example of the kind of experiment that you would find there?
A good exhibit might be one called vocal vowels, where you learn about how sounds are made by your throat by actually injecting a sound, a buzzing sound, into a plastic model of your vocal tract.
See, that's perfect for kids. This is what they want to do, is get to sort of yell into something.
Yeah, it has a bellows. You make this quacking noise, and then you hear what it sounds like. And actually, that exhibit we've actually put on the web, so you can visit that exhibit too.
Oh, excellent. Well, okay, so that brings me sort of the next area is now you've got this great museum. It's been very popular, very successful. I think world dignitaries have come and seen this place. Now you want to put it out onto the internet. How have you gone about doing that, and what's up on the Exploratorium
A lot of it is exploring new technologies and ways to do that. Doing pictures and text is a good beginning, but it doesn't quite get there.
No.
So we've tried to exploit all the new technologies as they've come out, using QuickTime VR, using shockwave, using sound, real audio, and all those kinds of things.
So you've got audio, you've got movie.
A depth spinner.
Using sound, real audio, using QuickTime, quite get there. So we've tried to exploit all the new technologies as they've come out, using QuickTime VR, using shockwave, using sound, real audio, and all those kinds of things.
So you've got audio, you've got moving pictures, you've got animations. What are some of the exhibits that are up there now that kind of take some of these things
well, for instance, let's see. We have the cow's eye dissection, which has been a very popular one.
I remember that when I was a kid.
It is a wonderful exhibit that most people think is really gross, but once you get into it, it's pretty fascinating.
So walk someone through that. What is it?
In that exhibit, we actually will tell you how to dissect a cow's eye with pictures and with the explainers telling you with real audio how to go about those steps.
And it's pretty gruesome looking, even on the web.
Well, it's pretty gruesome looking, but you can't. It's one of those things you can't stop looking at either.
No, in fact,
it's too fascinating.
I saw that you even.
Gruesome looking, but you can't. It's one of those things you can't. Can't stop looking at either.
No, in fact,
it's
and
too fascinating.
I saw that you even had some areas of like how to actually go find a cow's eye if you don't know where to get one in the community.
You could probably go do a Lycos search or an Alta Vista search for eyeballs, but we tell you where to find them.
And so what are some of the other exhibits that are up there now?
Oh, well, the vocal vowels is one of them. We have some other larger kind of teaching things like Bob Miller's Light Walk, which will teach you new ways to look at light and shadow and images, ways that you've never even thought of before. It's taught me whole new ways to look at that area.
And this is an interactive exhibit, or?
This is really it's a light walk that an artist gives and talks about light and images, and we sort of go on the walk with him in text and pictures. And then we have other activities that you can do after viewing that, building pinhole cameras and all kinds of other activities. And other places you go on the internet also to find related things, pinhole photographers and things like that.
Excellent. Now you mentioned photographer, and I have seen also the Nagasaki photos are up there.
That was a real popular exhibit that we did.
Nagasaki.
In association with an exhibit at the Ansel Adams Gallery, we did an online version which displayed the photographs of this photographer who came back the day after the bomb was dropped, took these very compelling photographs. But in addition, we asked people to send in what their memories were of Nagasaki, of the atomic bomb, or the bombing, or learning about the atomic bomb. So you wouldn't have to be that old.
And posted those
and we posted those on the web, and people could have a discussion on the web then about the atomic bomb and its effects. And,
nice discussions to be had about Nagasaki. Look at how 90s that situation is, just that shot is. Thanks very much, Crazy Gamer, for the tip, and Q Schlug. Very kind of you, lads.
They sent us entire essays, that really well thought out, thoughtful commentary on their memories.
Right. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Pleasure.
Fuck was that one? What the fuck is that one? Just like a spinning stick. Is that your man that was just being interviewed there, who looked like Tom?
Hi, welcome to the Twinkie Project. Here
is
our control Twinkie. Here is our water. Here is our radioactive Twinkie. Don't do this to your children. This poor Twinkie is a battery. It has so much power, it's not even funny. Look.
Nobody move, please.
It can run you for days. Try this with your Walkman. If you want more information about Twinkies, go to the Twinkie Project on the World Wide Web. All right, not weird people. The show is about.
All right. Lovely slice of dead air before the. All right.
All right, not weird people. The show is about weird science tonight, okay? Would you guys calm down?
It's been a wild night.
All right, so what did you think? Did you have fun?
I had a great time. I think, you know, my view on the world, not being a great scientist, although somewhat crazy in the kitchen, but I think what was neat for me was I saw an application of the internet in a totally new way, which was a place not where you go and gather information and take it back. It's a place where you go, you plant a seed, you come back over and over again to watch it growing and watering it and planting another seed.
Really two-way, real interactive.
Yeah, it was a whole different application for me,
not
which I thought was
down this stuff.
pretty jazzy. Yeah.
And Mr. DeVries?
Why couldn't you just do that in your house?
I do.
Oh, okay.
My cilantro is growing very well, thank you.
I like that there's some really fun sites out there for science. I always found science a little bit intimidating, a little bit even boring sometimes. This is a way to sort of make it fun. You know, this Annals of Improbable Research sort of poking, you know, jokes at the scientific community, and also the Exploratorium.
You don't tend to think about the scientific community.
Always fun. Dissecting a cow's eye and do it online.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So
well, what I thought was interesting is, you know, we call it weird science, but you never know. Today's weird science can become
the not-so-weird real science of tomorrow. My guess is people thought Galileo was a weird scientist at one point, and then all of a sudden he's right. So who knows what's weird and what's not? What's next? We'll see you next week right here at the...
That was a weird hanging Chad.
So who knows what's weird and what's not? What's next? We'll see you next week right here at the Internet Cafe.
The Internet Cafe is made possible in part by Intel. One innovative idea always leads to another. Now there are connected CD-ROMs that link rich multimedia with related information on the Internet. A connected CD-ROMs, it's the Intel Pentium processor.
Some controller, some operator, although I thought the earlier episodes of Computer Chronicles yielded more. So it just goes to show you that the date sometimes doesn't matter. The energy was here for this, but the sound wasn't great.
Call today for your copy of this episode of the Internet Cafe or any of our other award-winning programs. When ordering, please ask for tapes by show number and title. That's 1-800-916-PCTV.
That's it. It's not the iconic outro tune. It's just a very stripped down dance package with footage of some cars and a spinning golden tornado inside a jar.
916
Go on. Yes. Good night. Thanks for watching. What the fuck is going on there? What? He's beating me for weird maneuvers for the outro. And that was the fellow that looked like the uncle. Crazy. Keeps going. Keeps going. Yeah.